The show is about to start. Reese on the radio. Turn it up. Turn it up low. Turn it up loud.
It's like a dream come true.
Turn on your radio. Reese is on the radio.
Yo, let's get it.
Due to the nature of this program, discretion does not exist. It's Reese on the radio. Right now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Yeah! What's up? Let's get this thing cracking. You know who it is. Scallywags, nutmeggers, conversationalists, and of course you haters. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080, the world's most hated and in many places the most racist talk show host in America. That's what they think. That's what they say. They call me racist. I don't know. Whatever. That's what they got to call me. That's what they call me. I don't care. Anyway, a lot of stuff going on today. As you heard, downtown Hartford is on fire. Let me say this to you, and this is important if you're listening to the show. If you are listening to the show now, and you are on your way down to 300 Capitol to go see what's going on, testify, to speak your mind, to let your voice be heard, can you please express to the folks there that I am absolutely in awe of all of the families that showed up. It is not like when you see it on television. You have to be there in the room to see those parents who are there with their children, and just rallying with one another. An entire community, a culture of parents who were there. And I'm not going to lie. How do you do it? I don't know how you do it. A lot of mothers and fathers we saw walking in ahead, 3, 4, 5, 7, 9 kids. It's like a lot of kids. And they sit at home with them. Let me say this. This is an important thing. I'll get you in here real quick, honey. You're a mother, so I want a lot of your time is going to be spent on here talking about what you experienced with me today. Roseanne is in the house, but I just want to say this real quick before I get you on there. This is the thing. Mothers will understand what I'm about to say. For those of you who do not homeschool, there is a common trend amongst parents with children when the summertime comes. Parents who say, I can't wait till the school year starts so they can get back to school, so that they can get out of the house. Now, not that they don't love their children. Is that, yes, children, especially if you have multiple ones, if you have 2 boys, you have a boy and a girl, there's bickering, there's fighting, there's screaming, there's hollering, and all this other stuff, and parents sometimes just want peace. I get that. Don't get me wrong. I've been there. But these parents, as Deborah Stevenson said, it is a sacrifice. And I didn't understand it until I sat in that watch room with all of those parents and the strollers and the kids. Sit down. No, stop going underneath there. Kids on the floor. Just, it was just everywhere, but it was not a nuisance. It was just beautiful. And it gave me a sense of, you know what? I'm going to tell the tale out of school, and I'm going to bring her in while I do it. Roseanne, for the first time, and I thought you were, I thought you were a little out of sorts, but I think in a moment there, I understood why you asked me whether or not we wanted to start over and bring another child into the world, to be in that room to watch these mothers and these fathers with their kids and see how adorable and well-mannered these children were, just having a good time and playing with each other. You can't help but say to yourself, I want to do this. I think I want to homeschool. It was just insane. Roseanne is in the house. You were You were there. You witnessed this. You were leading some of the applause in the room.
I was. I think, okay, so people who know me outside of the radio know that I have said and will repeat with fervor, I hate kids.
Yeah.
I hate other people's kids. I like mine, right? The reason why, and I think today sort of solidified it for me, it's not that I hate kids. I hate what the public schools are turning children into. The kids today, here's a couple things that you didn't point out. Almost every child had a book, a notebook. They weren't looking at iPads and cell phones.
Yes, that's so true.
They were reading books. They were drawing. They were engaging with their siblings. This isn't something you see
totally
normally.
missed that. You are so right.
That's a mom thing, I guess. But the other thing I noticed, too, is even though there were, like, the little boy, that adorable, oh my gosh, he was so adorable, wearing that green and blue striped shirt.
Yeah.
He kept getting in and out of his seat and was slamming back and making a loud noise. And the parents were so, like, you could tell they were like, stop it. And you and I are just sitting there like, oh, my God, it's the cutest thing I've ever seen in the world. That was the extent of unruly behavior. And I'm using the air quotes around unruly because it really wasn't. It was a little boy being a little boy sitting in a thing where he was completely bored and just trying to maintain, right? There was no screaming. There was no fighting. There was no running around. You didn't have a bunch of little heathens running around.
Wasn't that wild? With all of those children, there was no screaming, hollering children.
It wasn't wild. That's normal. That's normal. That's how I was raised. We weren't running around. We knew we're going in public, behave accordingly. You want to act like a heathen, wait till we get home and mom and dad unleash you on the playground. That's where you go and act like a heathen. But I loved watching all these kids today. And the other thing I told you was the amazing thing is all of these kids are in school right now. They're having a live civics lesson that they get to not only watch in real life, but in some cases they actually got to participate.
That, and I'm glad you brought that up.
Those kids.
Their parents allowed the children.
My kids are trash. I was going to say, my kids are trash. I'm looking at these kids going, I'm trash. Yeah. Just how young and elegant and poised and articulate these children were, and so unafraid to just speak to these politicians. Yeah,
grown-ups even.
Yeah.
And to go out there and talk about their own personal experiences. There was a cynic part of me that said, all right, which parent helped them write this? But the one boy who...
The white hat?
No. The young man, he had
with the
blue shirt on, he had the ears.
Oh, he was adorable.
Absolutely adorable.
Fourth grade.
When he was talking, he had the best... Let me tell you something. This I know, that he wrote his statement himself, which I thought was one of the funniest things. This young man starts talking about how, he was doing great in school, how he loved his teachers in the third grade, right? Talked about his school teachers, talked about being around them and how great they were. And then in the fourth grade, how everything dramatically changed. He talks about the fourth grade and how it dramatically changes. He ends up going into homeschooling. He talks about how nervous and uncomfortable he was to do this. He wasn't sure in the beginning what the school was like. But then he found out all of these great things, and they were get-togethers with other homeschool kids.
Not going back to school day in September.
Exactly.
I loved it.
They went to not going back to school day, a sort of picnic together. But the part that warmed my heart was what he said about his father, which was hilarious because he said, my father loves this because, he loves these trips. He said, because they're really cheap and he doesn't like to spend a lot of money.
Well, they're all free or cheap.
Yeah, free or cheap. And he doesn't.
They're happening during the school day.
Yeah, and he was just talking about his dad, which I thought was hilarious, but true.
If you think about it, like if you send your kid on a field trip, even like to the museum. Museums are free.
Yeah.
Well, everybody has to pitch in and pay for the bus and pay the bus driver.
Right.
And pay for, parking spots. And then they got to bring a lunch. I mean, there's just so much money. So here you are as a parent giving your kid $20 to go to school to the museum, and this is happening 4 or 5 times a year. And assuming you've got more than one kid, this is a lot of money going out the door for a free public school.
Yeah.
But here you are as a homeschooled parent getting together with like-minded homeschooled parents with kids who behave just as well as yours. And these kids are so academically advanced. I mean, we consider them advanced, right? these kids are learning at their own pace, and the abilities and the capabilities of these kids. And so they're going out into these public excursions to take advantage of just what's already existing, right? The Mark Twain House, an art museum, a public park, some historical monument. They get to go for free with a bunch of people who think and act just like them. And mom's sitting back there going, girl, let the kids go play. You and I are going to hang out back here, and we're going to attack the next
curriculum. Sure.
Maybe we're going to talk about some difficulties we're experiencing. Maybe we're just friends and we like each other.
Yeah. But I thought was amazing, and it's a sad part about the testimony that happened. And you can all go and see this online. You have no idea. Just see the first hour.
That's all we got to see.
That's all we got. But if you see the first hour we got to see was amazing. And I want to talk about this one particular mother before we go to break, because then we have to give the downside to this, and that's the state's case. And we have to break that down as well. But I want to talk a little bit about this mother who had the daughter. She has one daughter in public school. Abby's mom.
Yeah.
And Abby's mom came and spoke. She's got one daughter, Abby, who is at home. She's got another daughter who is in the public school,
right?
Which I can imagine is a difficult situation. But Abby's mom got up there to speak about the abuse of her daughter, Abby, at the school. At the school.
That everybody was aware of. Educators, administrators,
the police,
superintendent, the police, everybody.
Right. And the daughter, Abby, ended up suffering from anxiety and I think it's important you have to say what, Well, she was assaulted. I just want to leave it at that. I want to leave it at that.
Yes.
I don't want to sort of, you know what I mean?
Right.
She was assaulted.
Not good.
It wasn't a good assault.
Yeah.
Well, no assault is good.
Yeah.
But this was, as you can expect,
egregious.
What it was.
Horrible.
And the fact that this young lady dealt with that, and her mother pulled her out of school, and Abby's mom came there to talk to them about, one, the most important thing is that the focus should have been and should be, as far as the school board committee is concerned, should be on the school that allowed that to happen in the school, even though they had knowledge of it. They knew that Abby was never going to return to that school after what was done to her. Now, why did they know that? Because they knew that they had no response and they had failed her. They didn't expect her to return.
When a minor child commits the act that Abby suffered, her perpetrator, there's almost no legal recourse for a perpetrator that young.
Exactly.
So the police can be called, that's fine, but then what?
So that whole point is that the fact that the school knew that Abby was not going to return to school.
And they made that very clear to
clear to the mother who testified to that.
She's not coming back, so everything is fine.
Yeah. And what she was saying was that if you know that's happening, if you know that there are horrible schools that have horrible test scores, if you know there are schools that have got absenteeism, truancy even, and missing for that matter, to the thousands. We're talking about the tens of thousands of kids who are missing at school. Yet there's no DCF case against those families who have kids who are not being educated.
Right.
Why would you go after homeschooling kids when you have obviously an epidemic of children who are missing school, who are out there just anywhere for that matter? That should be the focus. That's the part that bothers me. But I want to mention this about Abby's mom and what she said. Before I get to the negative stuff, I want to point out the positive of what she said. One, she made it clear she didn't know what she was doing in the homeschooling space, but she took it on. And what she realized and why she was empowered to homeschool her daughter was because the networking was incredible.
Yeah, she said even families who didn't know her were coming to her aid and offering support and resources and guidance. I mean, how do you turn your nose up at that?
Exactly. So here it was that everyone sort of rallied around someone in the space. Deborah Stevenson came here when she got her own daughter into homeschooling, said the same thing Abby's mom said. And that was, hey, I need you to meet this woman. And she meets this woman. Next thing you know, she's homeschooling her child. And then they develop a friendship because they can all network. And they're all helping each other find new and inventive ways. When we come back, we have to talk about the downside of this. And that is, what is it? The Office of Child, whatever. What's the name of the group?
Office of Child. Oh, I wrote it down.
Whatever.
It's the OCA.
Yeah, OCA. It's
the Office of the Child Advocate.
Yes, Office of the Child Advocate. That's it. I want to talk about the woman who spoke there today, and what she revealed. Many people may have missed, but I caught it because there was a lot of focus on it. And she didn't make a strong case for the reason why these families should have a DCF file if they decide to pull out their kids, or that the families who already have should have a DCF file on them anyway. That was missed. But what I really, really want to focus on is what was sort of driven home by a lot of people who are supportive of this bill. And it's scary to me that this I'm almost certain that they are going to vote for this bill, and it is going to pass. However, what's going to be exposed in all of this in the next coming days is going to be really, really horrible for DCF. They do not know it yet. They should have backed off. They should have told Martin Looney or whoever it is to stay away from this. Mm-hmm. Because when the lawsuits come, DCF is going to be dragged into this. They have to be.
And OCA, because OCA oversees DCF.
Exactly. And there is going to be a fight for discovery to look at DCF's books. It will be an oversight none of them are prepared for.
How old was that little girl that said that? She's like 13.
Yeah. There is going to be a look into DCF that they do not want revealed. And there's a part of me, and I say this all the time, folks, it sounds like I'm being crazy here, but there's a part of me, for that reason alone, I want them to pass it because I want the lawsuit to come. I want the civil rights of these homeschooling parents violated in this way. I want their constitutional rights violated in this way, so that when the case, exactly, to force the hand of this Supreme Court case, so that we get to the bottom of every bit of DCF and where it's lacking, that they will be shown to be an organization that not only could not handle the amount of homeschooled kids as a factor,
right,
but where they are, pardon the pun, truant in taking care of the kids who are already under their care.
DCF should not be allowed to handle paperwork, let alone children.
I know. It's really, really bad. Anyway, when we come back, we'll have more news and more views. When we return, we'll talk a little bit more about what we saw today, the people we spoke to. And stay tuned in the 4 o'clock hour. I think I have some news on Governor Lamont that we need to pay attention to. And that information came to me today. So we'll talk about that and much, much more. It's Reese on the radio. Roseanne's here. It's WTIC, News Talk 1080.
Fan of WTIC? Then do us a favor. Download the free Odyssey app and favorite WTIC.
I just did the craziest thing here, Roseanne. I've got your name, Betsy McCaughey, up here on the screen instead of your name, which is, I'm not trying to figure out.
There's a family resemblance. I get it.
Speaking of Betsy McCaughey, she will be here at 3 o'clock. Also, Cara, Pavalock-D'Amato will be here at 4 o'clock. We'll be talking to both of them about everything that happened today. So we are loaded for bear on local news that affects you. We'll also talk about Ned Lamont today. And some information that I got from a very reliable source, and I want to thank them for contacting me about that. But anyway, let me get to this. So we had the hearing. There were 3 hearings today. We couldn't get to all of them because we were primarily there for the homeschooling debate, which was what a lot of news media was there for as well, because this really affects families in the state. And in my view, it's a wedge issue that the Democrats cannot win on. Even though they have a supermajority, they stepped in it on this one, in my view. And when you when you counter homeschooling results versus the public school, because that's what a lot of parents and children were bringing home in their testimony, was that, look, man, I'm learning at my pace, I'm learning well, and the results are overwhelming. When you've got people talking about their kids at 16, 17 years old, going off to Ivy League schools, you've got kids who are preteens graduating high school because they're doing far better. I'm not going to lie. I know that there's a bitterness in every one of those eyes who are supporting this measure.
They are salty.
There's a bitterness that says to these parents and to these children, you know, I got it. Go ahead, because I'm going to go someplace in here.
The best indicator was when that, what's her name, Gahio, whatever that.
Yeah, Gio.
Whatever. She said that some of these parents are capable of educating their kids because they have degrees in higher education and higher learning. Some of them are capable of providing an adequate education.
Thank you for noticing that. And that's the deal. That's exactly what was exposed, is that the only people who can teach their children are those who are educated in her sort of cookie-cutter world of education.
High school dropout. I completed the 10th grade. I dropped out my junior year of high school. I have some college. I was a medic in the Army. I went through basic training. I did all the, the basic stuff to be a functional, capable human being, right? With that minimal amount of education, I, by myself, and I'm going to brag about this till the day that I die, taught my son how to read thoroughly by the age of 3. By kindergarten, he was reading chapter books. I wasn't formally educated by some Department of Ed.
Right. And again,
and I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you again. And I was a military brat, which means I went to like 13 elementary schools, 8 middle schools. I went to 4 high schools. So I didn't have a consistent education. And this is all across the country. So my academic spectrum ran the gambit. There was no, stable basis for my education.
The part that people are missing about this, and I think what was her name? What's the woman's first name? Christina Gio. Here's the problem that she has, as do a lot of the people who support this bill have, right? They miss a very key element in all of this, right? Think about it this way. I can have a teacher's investment in mine and 25 other kids, or I can have a parent's investment in their own. Ask yourself, as a mother, even if you are in support of public school, even if you are a public school teacher, okay? You've been a teacher. You have parents who are teachers, cousins who are teachers. Ask yourself this question. Whom do you trust more with the well-being of your child, bar none? Even in the world where there are abusive parents, if you had to make a choice, who do you put in charge of the welfare of your child more? A school administrator, a school teacher, a resource officer, or the parent? Mom. Mom or dad.
I'm not going to lie to you. Even as the mom, right, and I had 2 children that were not biologically mine, I loved my husband. I really did, and there were a lot of things I trusted him with. Unfairly, but I did trust him with a lot of things. One of the things that I always believed in my heart of hearts I was capable of doing better than him was loving, nurturing, protecting, educating, and training our children.
Even your stepchildren.
Even the children that were not biologically mine.
That's
because dads are great. Really, y'all provide a lot of great stuff.
Yeah, we're fun.
But nobody can do it like mom.
Right. So
nobody can do it
that's
like mom.
the part that I'm trying to understand, that if a mother put them in that situation, and you will hear a mother go, like a good mother, even a half-ass mother, like would say, I die for my babies. Well, yes.
Not if you're in California.
Yeah. But the bottom line is that if you know that about your mother and you say, okay, what lengths would you go to educate your child? I don't think there's a mother out there that says, well, wait a minute, like, okay, so you're telling me if I have to educate them, is there a place that I can go to where I can learn to do this? And mothers would jump at the chance. Right. they would to educate their child. Imagine, and this is another thing. I just want to say this. This is why we get on Roseanne about this. And she knows this because I kind of tease her, but not a lot because I get in trouble if I do. I'm going to tell you this about it. Roseanne just said to you a moment ago, I will keep bragging about this till I die. I had my kid reading chapter books by the time he was in kindergarten. We always rag on Roseanne. We get it, Roseanne. We know you did it. But I want you to understand it. What she is talking about is she had no formal education to go on. She does not have the degrees that Christine Geo is talking about. And yet she has the accomplishment as a mother to say, I taught my son how to read in kindergarten.
Before kindergarten.
Before
he was 3.
Okay, before kindergarten.
He couldn't even tie his shoes, but he could
that
read.
Mothers celebrate themselves. You remember Bill Burr with that joke he used to say about mothers said the most difficult job in the world is being a mother. And he would make fun of it and say, oh, look, I have to bend down to put the DVD in so they can watch the, he was mocking it, but truth be told, right? Mothers are educating their children. He made light of it, but the truth is that mothers just don't pop in the DVD and have wine at 11.
What people don't understand is you are literally homeschooling your child from the moment they are born.
There you go.
You talk to them, you change their diapers, you love them, you nurture them, you teach them to walk.
You read to them.
If some do, some don't.
Right.
But every single thing that you do, the way that you behave, the way that you respond to conflict or a good time, the way that you behave, your child is learning and observing everything that you do.
Everything that they do is a learning experience with their parents.
Everything.
Right.
So you are homeschooling your child from day one. Now all of a sudden they turn 5 and I've got to hand them over to a complete stranger who doesn't understand my child. And that's the other thing Abby's mom said. She's got one in public school, one at home. You have to understand the difference between your children. They are different.
That's right.
I can educate my 3 kids differently based on the way that they learn, the way that they behave, and their preferences. If I try to teach them all to do the same exact thing and behave the exact same way, I am creating problems. Somebody's getting left behind. Somebody's being uneducated. Somebody's feeling left out. It's problematic. Know your children. Mothers know their children, and they educate their children accordingly.
Yeah. And I would say that the bottom line is what this hearing exposed most about this was Christine Geo wanted very much to control the curriculum.
She literally said it. Not only that, but she wants to be able to monitor and standardize testing at the homeschool level. But here's my question. How long is it going to take them to get the results back to determine whether or not this child was properly educated?
That's correct.
They can't even monitor 90,000 students who are missing from school every day.
And that's another argument that was made by one of the parents, was that here you are talking about you want to make sure that what the child is learning is up to code, right? Is up to standard. Well, let me just finish this part because I'll lose it. Is that it is up to code, right? You want to make sure that they are being educated and not uneducated or miseducated, whatever the case may be. The bottom line is that they wish to control the curriculum that the kids are learning at home that they can determine is acceptable. But one of the parents asked that very, very valuable question. Do you actually have close to 90,000 kids? No, I'm sorry. It was one of the senators said, do you actually have close to 90,000 children who are not receiving an adequate education now because they're not in school? Yes. So that's the DCF focus.
But that's where you're wrong, because she didn't say that we want to standardize their education. What she said is we want to monitor.
Right.
Now, their lack of standardization, like just because they're not on level doesn't mean they're being uneducated.
Well,
that was her safety net. Just because they're not on grade level doesn't mean they're not being educated.
What does that even mean? They're not on grade level?
Why is that important?
Because they could be above?
Less than 50% of Connecticut public school students can read on a 3rd grade level.
That's a good point.
So just because they're not being educated on level doesn't mean they're not being educated. We just want to make sure they're receiving some sort of education.
That's right, because if you have to hold them to the public school standard, parents could just...
You are done at age 7.
Yeah.
Your kid is done. He can sort of tell colors and shapes. Maybe they can identify the letters in their name.
That's right, because they can't hold them to a standard that they don't even reach in the public school.
So it's not that they want to monitor and regulate the education process. They want to monitor and regulate the family. That's what they said. They want to create a list of all the students and all the families that are attending homeschooling, just so we can keep track of where they're at.
Yeah.
Why? Where in the Constitution of the United States or even in the state of Connecticut say that the government has to be in charge of everything that I do with my family? How long until we have somebody standing at the foot of our bed every night, making sure we're sleeping in the right position? Did you brush your teeth? No, you gotta stroke that side 3 more times. You didn't brush that side enough.
It's
overreach.
It is, and they know it's overreach, and
they have nothing to sort of substantiate or show that this is a success.
Oh, only one.
You have to have success.
Kid safety. That's the key word here. Kid safety. That's the whole argument. Why is my phone doing that? I need to fix that. Anyway, that's the whole deal. By the way, we got to take a break. When we come back, we will try to find out why the song Poison was playing in the background a little bit. Somebody mentioned it and said, they're playing the song Poison in the background. I have no idea where it came from, so I apologize. It must be some sort of cross thing that's going on. Betsy McCaughey has walked in. Yeah, that's exactly. Betsy McCaughey is sitting outside. We're going to get her on here real quick. Is she wearing a fedora? Yes, she is. We'll talk to her in a little bit. Roseanne is here. We'll return momentarily. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Of course, Betsy's in the house, and she smells like coconut. Grab a seat, Betsy. I promise we'll get to you in a second.
It's not far from coconut. I'm thinking palm trees. Right? Tax haven.
Well, you and I are going to have a lot of conversation about Lamont because of some information I gathered earlier today. We'll get into that. Like I said, Betsy McCaughey is here. Ryan Fazio was also at the hearing today as some of the young people spoke during the testimony today. And I think it goes without saying that these kids are making the case. I got to be completely honest, Roseanne. When people use the phrase out of the mouths of babes, I often go, they're still kids. You know what I mean? But this is a little different, and I'm going to sound hypocritical. I'm going to go back on what I said about this. Only reason why I say this is because this is something that actually affects the children. So they're talking about something they are experiencing. And hearing from that young man that we were talking about, the one that's talking about his dad, how his dad likes cheap stuff, what's interesting about him is that he understands both worlds. He is a kid who did love public school. He had nothing against it. He saw it where it failed him, and he loves the schooling that he's getting now.
I think his parents saw where it was failing him, right? Yeah. And like you were saying
earlier,
he
said he didn't. He said he felt it as well.
Well, because he said there was a change in the curriculum and the way that he was learning. I'm assuming that's when Common Core became a little bit more.
It may have been different.
Whatever it was that he was learning, the rate at which he was learning, he was already getting extra homework sent home because he was finishing up. He reminded me a lot of the boy, right? Because he's finishing too quickly. Nothing is challenging him. He needs extra work to stay focused in class and not be disrupted. Well, he didn't say disruptive, but I'm assuming. And by 4th grade, everything changed. Suddenly, he's not meeting the standard.
Yeah.
You can't convince me that in, the 2.5, 3 months between 3rd and 4th grade, this kid
slowed down
a significant amount of his cognitive capabilities, right? There was something happening within the curriculum that prevented him from learning adequately. And again, this is where his parents said, wait a minute, this isn't our kid. He even said it. My parents knew that I was intelligent, right? Your parents know you. Your parents are going to be able to do the best they can for you. So you have to trust that when a parent comes to you and says, my child is not flourishing here, it's my job to ensure that they do, and the parent is willing to take on the reins, get the hell out of the parent's way.
You have to.
You have to. Time after time after time, when we moved from one school district to another, when the boy moved from I think it was 3rd to 4th grade, and they told me, oh, sorry, he's going to have to wait till next year to take the placement exam for the gifted program. Mm-hmm. And I looked at them and I said, oh, that's adorable. Here's what's really going to happen. You're going to go ahead and give my son that test. I'm not leaving until we do. I wasn't one of the most favored moms by the school administration.
And nor you're supposed to be.
But you know what? My son got what he needed.
Yeah.
So trust when a kid looks at you and doesn't know how to articulate, Mom, I'm struggling and I don't understand why. That's why mom is important. That's why it's important to have parents that are engaged, because I can look at my kid and tell something is off. And now I know how to act.
I think that this overreach, it's not as simple as just government overreach. We're going to talk about this a little bit later. We'll talk about it with Betsy. Of course, we'll talk about it with Cara Pavalock when she comes in. But what I really do believe is that, one, it's always money. That's one.
Yep.
And two, it is because these young minds, if you will, are not going to be indoctrinated by this government or any government.
If you will.
And what Adam said yesterday, at the end of yesterday's show, I actually got a chance to meet him at the hearing, was that, these children are going to be raised to be self-sufficient. Why? Because they're going to grow up to be leaders.
Well, they're
going to grow up to be entrepreneurs. Yeah, but they're going to grow up to be entrepreneurs. They're going to learn to not rely on the system where the public school turns these kids. They always make that argument
into a conveyor belt.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
There are so many.
Your job is to shut up, sit down, do the job you're told, and go home at the end of the day and show up tomorrow doing the same thing.
Right. There's so many people that sort of like they treat it like the school to government aid pipeline, that these kids only learn to be either workers or dependents. And what homeschooling is ensuring for their children is that they never rely on anyone but themselves. Their smarts, their abilities, they understand that they are confident and competent.
Right. So
and
are you sure we can't?
No, we're not having any more children.
Come on.
It would be great. Listen, I would love
to homeschool our babies. I'd love to have a bunch of your little beige babies running around. See, we got Betsy's cosign there.
I love babies.
Yes, Betsy, do not co-sign this, okay?
I can't have a dog. Can I at least have a baby? I mean, gosh.
You don't put a dog through college. That's all I'm saying. Okay, I'm not. We're not talking about this. I love you, but no. Well, like I said, Betsy McCaughey is coming up in a little bit. We'll talk about her. She spoke at did you get an opportunity to speak today?
Yes.
Good. I want to talk to you about all of that and, of course, where you are in a host of things and where you are in the campaign. We'll do that in a little bit. So stand by. Like I said, we are loaded for bear today. Real quick, Roseanne.
We are no longer asking for a dog, ladies and gentlemen. It is Operation Beige Baby. Let's go.
Goodbye. Goodbye. John Silva is in the WTIC newsroom. We'll get to him, and then we'll get to Betsy when we return. God bless you, Roseanne. We'll be back. We'll be back at Reese on the Radio.
Reese on the Radio, making sense of the news. Yeah, even when it makes no sense at all. Now on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, as promised, one of our favorite people here, because she's fun. She's a lot of fun. But I would have to say who has kicked an absolute hornet's nest by jumping into the race. None other than Betsy McCaughey is here. I'm telling you, listen, the reason why is because you've actually, and this is my opinion as a radio host, a person who's got to look at this from so many different angles, policy, entertainment, as well as informative. I think that you have sort of made everybody else step up their game here in this election, because there has been, and I think it's been the argument of a lot of people, especially Republicans, is that there was sort of a wheat toast campaign. Yes. You know what I mean? Sort of milk toast campaign that wasn't energetic and people just moseying through. Now we're seeing some excitement going on here. Forget about the social media campaigns, but there seems to be a fire under Republicans in a way that we've never seen it before.
It's about time.
Yeah.
It's about time. We cannot let this state continue into a death spiral. I say to everyone listening, axe the tax.
Right.
Get rid of the state income tax. All the naysayers who say it can't be done, it's being done in so many states, I cannot count them on one hand. The president and his Council of Economic Advisors issued a report urging states to axe their income tax in order to build prosperity across the nation. And here's the fact. Mm-hmm. This report from the White House says if Connecticut gets rid of its state income tax, the first year, business startups will increase 27%.
Yeah.
Okay, if you're listening and you've always dreamed of having a business, this is your chance. And the average wage in the state, pre-tax, will increase $6,700 the first year. So that's not just the money you save by not having to pay the tax. That's more earnings you're going to earn on your paycheck before you pay a tax.
You know, and I would even go so far. Why this this written report by the White House is so important for Connecticut to consider, is that day in and day out, even from the leftist media in Connecticut, talks about how many people the state is hemorrhaging.
Yes.
Yet when you come out and you say that we need to axe the tax, what's the first thing that everybody says? Oh, it can't be done. I'm like, well, wait a minute. Have you even read the report? In fact, they only cite you and don't cite the report at all.
That's right.
As a sort of backdrop to, okay, here's what Betsy's proposing. Here's what the White House is proposing. Here's why it works or here why it doesn't. We can't even have that discussion in the media.
And by the way, if it were impossible, how come South Carolina is doing it? How come Kentucky is doing it? How come Oklahoma is doing it? Those states are cleaning Ned Lamont's clock. They are showing that it can be done. And there's no austerity. People aren't going without benefits. This is not an austerity plan. It's a growth plan.
Yeah.
And that's what we owe the people in this state, especially the young people so they don't have to leave. We owe them a future. We owe them growth and opportunity and career paths right here in Connecticut.
What did you think of the Black & Decker move out?
Tragic, but just the latest. It's just the latest of so many companies leaving. And let me tell you, the income tax is the number one determinant of a state's economy. Number one.
The part that freaks me out about that is that we were, I want to say 2 months ago, maybe even 3 months ago, we were having a discussion in the news media about Mamdani's election in New York and how many businesses that was going to bring into Connecticut. Dan Haar was writing a report about how great it was going to be that Connecticut was going to reap the rewards of people running out of New York. And then 3-4 months, it wasn't even 2 months into Mamdani's, I guess his mayoral time, that we lose Black & Decker right after. Now, I know I'll even go, so some people will say, I have to see the fact that it had to do with tape measures. But then again, Black & Decker doesn't have to leave because what it should do is just manufacture something else.
That's right. And the point is that when I'm elected and I put into place this new plan, companies will start moving in. They'll hear Connecticut is going to be the place to be. That will increase tax revenue. And the bill says, my bill says, when revenue goes up 5%, you axe the tax. Every year that the revenue goes up, you cut the tax rate till you get to zero. It's not an austerity plan. You take the extra revenue and you cut out the income tax. That's how it's done.
Betsy, today you gave a press conference at City Hall. What was that primarily about? Was there a host of things that you wanted to go to, or what was the...
Two big issues.
Yes.
But the overriding theme is this. The Constitution state needs a governor who respects the Constitution.
Let's go.
Duh.
Let's go.
Duh. That's right. Who respects the Constitution and our rights under the Constitution. So, and as you know, I've spent my life on the Constitution. I taught it for many years. I've written about it for many years. Almost all the columns I write are about constitutional issues. I love that document. I carry it in my purse.
All right.
Okay. So let's take a look at this Bill 450, which for ordinary English-speaking people means the vaccine bill, although it's not just a vaccine bill. In fact, the most dangerous part of this bill, Section 8, never mentions the word vaccine. What it does is it codifies giving the governor huge powers on his own or her own to lock down the state if there's another health emergency. Well, Reese, if there's one thing we learned from COVID,
that's right.
It was that lockdowns killed more people than the virus. It did. Deaths of despair from alcoholism, drug addiction, depression, denial of health care. Literally more people died from all of that than from the virus. And Connecticut was one of those states. Remember in March of 2020, Lamont announced that he was locking down the state for 2 weeks, flatten the curve. It went on for months and months and months. People who had spent a lifetime building a business saw it destroyed.
Over.
Nothing for their kids, right? It was so tragic. Why would we write a bill that empowers the governor to do that again.
It's not even the governor. The scariest part about that is that the governor is going to cede that to one individual who will make said mandate for children and adults.
No, this has nothing to do with vaccines.
Oh, okay.
Section 8 of this bill is in a health emergency.
Oh, okay. That's separate. Okay.
Will have these powers. Well, as the future governor of the state, I'm telling you, I reject this dangerous bill. I would never execute those powers. And the fact is, here's what Neil Gorsuch said, a very wise man. He said, since March 2020, we have experienced the greatest intrusions on civil liberties in the peacetime history of this country. He's referring to the shutdown, and he says governors imposed lockdown orders that forced people to remain in their homes. And look at the results. We should never let that happen again. And here is a bill that's putting it into law.
Yeah.
Nobody's read this part of the bill. It is so dangerous that in itself this bill should be rejected because of that. But I also looked at the vaccine mandate and think, well, I know the United States Supreme Court will reject this bill.
Oh, you're talking about 5044 now?
No, I'm talking about 450.
Oh, 450, that's right.
The
okay.
same bill.
Right.
Because imposing a vaccine requirement without giving people a religious exemption as well as a medical exemption is unconstitutional. And just in case you doubt it, Neil Gorsuch again made it very plain in November of 2020. Now, there's a little story here. Do we have time?
Please, you got time.
So way back in 1905, I used to teach this case. Mr. Jacobson, a Massachusetts resident, challenged a smallpox vaccine imposed by the state of Massachusetts. And he went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court upheld the Massachusetts vaccine. And that's always been cited as precedent for what Connecticut is trying to do. But here's Gorsuch saying, wait a second. He said, you can't use that as precedent because in Massachusetts, Mr. Jacobson had three options. He could take the vaccine, he could pay a fine, or he could choose to have an exemption. Where are the exemptions? Where are the alternatives? Where are the exit ramps in Connecticut? None. You see?
Well, he's not giving it. No one would be given the option to pay a fine.
That's right. And so I'm citing Roman Catholic Diocese of Brooklyn versus Cuomo. November 2020, Neil Gorsuch said, you can't use Jacobson versus Massachusetts to impose vaccines on people. Take it to the bank. This law is a dead letter.
Okay, absolutely. You also wanted to address, what was the other bill that you wanted to address?
Oh, the gun bills.
The gun bill. Please talk to me about this.
Well, one of them just makes me howl. It's so ridiculous. Okay, this bill, 5436, it says that if you buy a portion of a gun, a component of a gun, like a barrel, for example, you have to go through the whole process of registering, paying government fees, filling out all that paperwork, as if you had purchased a firearm.
Okay.
So I asked them today, I said, okay, everybody here is a car owner. If you go in to buy a new oil filter, do you have to re-register your car and get a new VIN number?
Good point.
It's exactly the same thing.
It's a good point.
This bill, HB 5436, regulating metal parts of firearms, is just harassment. That is all it is. It's a bill meant to harass gun owners. And just like if you passed...
Who do you think this serves, though? I mean, when I see this
the
type
left
of...
they're maniacally against guns. You see, they think the Second Amendment is the problem instead of the criminals. They would do everything to coddle the criminals. They don't want to send people to jail, especially not illegal aliens, right? But they want to really harass gun owners.
I try to explain. I was talking about this yesterday at the end people talk about these laws. And one of the things I try to preach on this show about these laws is that the only person who's affected by a law is a law-abider. That's the bottom line.
That's
right. And the other part
That's
that
right.
people fail to recognize is that laws never prevent crime. They punish them.
That's
what
right.
a law's for. So,
yes. And let me just add what Neil Gorsuch says, and I say it all the time. Just because there's an emergency, whether it's a crime emergency or a health emergency like COVID, the Constitution doesn't take a vacation. It doesn't take a sabbatical. You still are limited in what you can do to us, the people, based on the Constitution. And the folks in Hartford don't seem to realize that. We've got a clean house up there.
Crazy part about I remember watching there was a House hearing many years ago. I want to say it was back in 2012, maybe even 2011. There was a House hearing, and Trey Gowdy was still a representative there, still a rep out of South Carolina. You know who Trey Gowdy is. And he was talking to a woman about guns and about gun legislation. And he says to her, "Can you name another constitutional Bill of Rights that the individual has to petition the government to exercise outside of the Second Amendment?" No. And she didn't understand the question, which I thought was amazing. No, she didn't. She
don't have to fill out a form to exercise free speech.
That's what I'm saying, right? So this is a constitutional right within the Bill of Rights. Name another law in the Bill of Rights that you have to petition the government to exercise. And it is a great dissertation is to sort of disconnect that the legislature across the country who bring these laws about do not understand. Because, and I've always made this argument, is that once you have one of the Bill of Rights become something you must petition the government to have, what else is...
That's right. You're going to need a special license to exercise your free speech rights or to go to church on Sunday.
Yes, exactly. Illegal search and seizure. Right. I mean, that's what we are opening the door for, right? Because they will find something that says that one of these Bill of Rights is dangerous.
Well, the left has consistently tried to demote the Second Amendment as if not all the rights in the Bill of Rights are equal. But it's right up there near the top, see? Right up near First Amendments. That's how sacred the Second Amendment is.
Why do you think, as far as this is concerned, and you've been in this a long time, and I know you know a lot of the movers and shakers around here, do you really think that Ned Lamont is behind any of these bills? Because he seems to...
I do, and I'll tell you why. He has moved very far to the left. Ned Lamont, he's known in the state, always considered a moderate. I heard Carl Hibby say the other day, Ned Lamont, he protects us from the far left. Not anymore.
Yeah, that's over.
Not anymore. Now I call him Lefty Lamont. It is a very accurate description of Ned Lamont. This housing law he passed in December, the most radical housing law in the United States of America.
But do you think that the efforts to do this stuff with the vaccine bill, with the homeschooling bill, and now, of course, with the 5044 bill, do you think that this is because they're reveling in some sort of, ability to just push anything through with the supermajority? Do they not think that any of these things have consequences?
I think the Democratic, I can see, I don't have to think it, I know. I just wrote a piece on it this week, that the Democratic Party in all the blue states is moving farther to the left under the powerful influence of the Democratic Socialists of America. Mm-hmm. They're calling many of the shots in these state legislatures.
They're doing it here in Connecticut,
yes,
it looks.
The Equity Caucus is very, very big. They're pushing for an increase in the state income tax. I'm fighting to eliminate it. They're pushing to raise the rates, right? There you have it. That's a very clear dichotomy, right? And let me tell you who's going to win that one.
Yeah.
But also, as we were discussing off air, Ned Lamont has a chief of staff who herself is a very, very left-wing advisor.
Well, himself, he is incredibly left-wing. Right. He's been in and out, inside politics for a long time. Yes. His wife, on the other hand, Lindsay Farrell, is, I guess, I think, if I have this correct in front of me, she is was the executive director of the Working Families Party.
That's very far left.
Yeah, you couldn't get more far left than that. They've been associated with being somewhat communist, even. Yes. And this is the guy he made his chief of staff last year after the last guy was gone.
The legislation is farther and farther left, legitimating sleeping in the rough on the street. Towns are no longer able to remove vagrants.
Let's talk about that, because that's such an interesting point about this housing bill that we have to get to. in the next break. We'll break all that down because people they thought the gravity of this was they were just going to get apartment buildings in their quiet little town. What they're proposing is far worse than that.
Proposing they passed it already.
Oh, that's right. I apologize. Yes, but what's going to happen as a result of this will really turn these nice neighborhoods into, as Trump would call it, an S-hole.
And please come to Betsy2026.com. Get me on the ballot. Donate, please.
We're going to talk more with Betsy in a minute, so stand by for that. Also, we've got Cara Pavalock coming up at 4 o'clock. We'll talk to her as well about all of these controversies. It's just so much stuff to get into today. It's just amazing. Thank you for being here. We'll get back to you in a quick second. We can take a break now. Can't we, Roland? We're good? Yeah, all right. We'll take a break. We'll come back. More news, more views. Betsy McCaughey is here. It's Reese on the radio.
Listen to WTIC News Talk 1080 on the free Odyssey app. Download and like WTIC today for alerts on special programming.
All right, we're back, and we are here with gubernatorial candidate, of course, on the Republican side. Betsy McCaughey is here, and I love your energy. You know I do. You and I have the same approach towards everything. Kick the door open, and if you can't do that, blow it up. Which, in essence,
absolutely,
it's an energy thing. It just is.
And by the way, I'm not just running for Republicans. Of course, I'm seeking the Republican nomination. But I'm running for everybody in Connecticut. For example, I am going to make Ned Lamont's housing law a dead letter my first day in office. 68% of Connecticut households own their own home, and many more would aspire to, right?
Right, sure.
So that's a lot more than the Republican nomination registration. I'm fighting for all those homeowners against a law that will lower the value of your home, push up your property taxes, and tell you to go yourself because we're going to put a trailer park or a big apartment building next door to your lovely single-family home.
You know, you said something about this that has made it so incredible. San Francisco, the sort of Tenderloin district, many years ago had a map or an app that you can download, and it was not the most favorable app that you could download. It was called like a poop map, which in essence gave people the opportunity. In fact, I had a caller here. In fact, Simsbury Joe told me a story about a relative that he has where a person was allowed to sleep in front of his home and to defecate in front of his home no matter what. This app that was in San Francisco in the Tenderloin area was pretty much allowing people, it was warning people where to go where there would be a lot of human feces. What we found out about this bill, this housing bill that was passed.
Law. It's a law.
Yeah, true.
Now,
yeah, it's a law.
It Californicates Connecticut. It says our lovely towns cannot push out vagrants. They cannot make them unwelcome to sleep in the town park. Never mind if you like to give your kids $5 and tell them to walk around town and go into the park. You can't do that anymore because homeless people who choose to live in the rough, live on the street, live in the parks, they're dangerous. I'm not saying that from a lack of compassion. I know it's true. The Cicero Institute shows that 41% of the people who live outside in the rough in Connecticut are registered sex offenders.
Damn.
Do you want to send your kids into town to walk by those tents, to walk by those homeless encampments? No. The fact is, it is very dangerous. It is naive and foolish to legitimate this lifestyle. And that's exactly what Lefty Lamont's housing law does. It bars individual towns from hostile architecture. I don't know if you've ever heard that term.
I don't even know what that is.
It's a term devised by the Coalition for the Homeless, this national left-wing organization. It means you cannot have a park bench with a divider in the middle or arms on the side because it's too hard to sleep overnight on it. Oh, yeah. Yeah. You cannot discourage vagrancy. And there's a new bill going through the legislature now that will bar towns from fining people from urinating and defecating in public on the street. Just what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's and I don't think I've ever talked to a homeless person who said, I would really, really love to be homeless in a nicer town. I just never ever once, I never thought of that. I never even heard one person do it. Why would they allow, this is insanity.
Well,
is it because they're trying to actually destroy these neighborhoods?
All the urban problems to be evenly distributed around the state, right? Instead of saying, we will not permit people to live outside in our common areas. We will provide shelters, right? We will provide other means of housing, but living in the rough is not permitted. And the United States Supreme Court in grants passed 2 years ago ruled that towns have that authority. We do not have to accept living in the rough as a legitimate lifestyle because it threatens the civility of everybody.
Yeah. This is, I don't know how to take this because maybe I am being too rational here. Is that here we have a guy who is running for re-election in Ned Lamont. All of these bills and laws are radical. I mean, they're way out of mainstream, okay? And I'm saying that not even for, I understand that there are organizations like Indivisible. I know the Open Society groups. I know the DSAs, the Democratic Socialists of America. They all applaud this craziness. But it is completely out of the mainstream for even left of center folks because they would see their lives become very dangerous under these circumstances. So, is it me, or is this guy trying not to be reelected? Unless he thinks that Democrats really want this.
I can only look at the evidence. I can only look at the evidence. I never cast aspersions on people personally, but I call him Lefty Lamont for a reason. He is no longer a moderate. Choosing Lefty Lamont is a very radical choice.
Do you think they not get it? Because I'll tell you this. I saw the polling data recently, and I'll never forget it. It was just around Christmas time. I read an article that said, I'm sorry, I apologize. In the new year, there was an article that said that Lamont was the fourth highest rated governor in the country at 63%. And then I was looking at some new polling data, and in 2 months, it dropped all the way to 47 after these bills and these laws were passed. So in my head, I'm going, what? Go more left, Ned. I'm pretty sure that this is not working for you. Just go more. I don't understand this, Betsy, and you've been a lieutenant governor. You're in this space, I would say, deeper than I've ever been. Give me some rationale here. Do you ever...
Well, you mentioned off the air that you had heard there were times when Ned Lamont has cognitive deficiencies.
Yes. There are a lot of people who have talked about this. And and a lot of people have told me that there had been an open secret about this. And I don't want to put the guy out there and just like how to disprove a negative, but I'm starting to wonder as I'm looking at the members of his group, Matthew Brockman, his wife, who is obviously
not making his own decisions.
That he's not making his own decisions. This again, not for a guy. Look, I know you can't hear it, but I have to play this audio again because I played it a little while ago. I'm just gonna play it. Here's Lamont speaking to Bloomberg about this very thing, about him being a moderate and not being enough space for him. I want to play this.
Governor, it seems like for both parties, perhaps, the extreme right, the extreme left seems to be driving the politics for each of those parties. Is there even a center left for either party or both parties?
It's getting smaller because I'm there, and you're right. I think after Donald Trump's election, the Republicans are a lot less likely to want to talk to me. I always had a big table and an open door, and a lot of people looked at me and said, "God, it looks a little like a Republican." And the Democrats are sort of really fighting Trump every day, and if you don't go after him on a daily basis, you're sort of being weak in terms of your principles. So. You're right. The middle's getting very small, and that's not a good thing for America.
So he says the middle is getting very small. Immediately after that, this guy starts incorporating some of the wildest leftist things I've ever heard of. And I'm going, this guy was just saying that he was a moderate. He was saying that how his space is
not a moderate anymore.
Yeah, I think it's over.
That's right. He is not a moderate anymore. The Democratic Party in Connecticut is being taken over by the far left, the Equity Caucus, and he is succumbing, kowtowing to those far left influences.
Do you think the Mamdani thing played a role? Because that was because you have an establishment guy like Andrew Cuomo who loses handedly to a Mamdani.
But Andrew Cuomo was a very, very defective candidate.
Agreed.
He had been subject to impeachment.
Sure.
Accused of many sexual improprieties.
Mm-hmm.
He's not your average mainstream Democrat. He was a very defective candidate.
Right.
And I don't think that Mamdani could have won in New York against a strong candidate. But he carried it away because there was no strong candidate on the Democratic side.
Indeed. At least not a formidable
That's right.
sort of opposition.
But now the voters have spoken, and as Ed Koch said 30 years ago, the voters will be punished.
Yeah.
And they are definitely being punished in New York.
Well,
and Connecticut, take heed.
Yeah, but that's my thing, is that I talked to Josh Elliott about this as well. I mean, even before he was on my program last week, I said to him, I asked him right out, I said, will you be following Mamdani's sort of template if indeed he won? He said, I don't know, we'll see. Which to me, it just said, I mean, it's an interesting point, right?
That's dangerous.
Like, we'll see. Yeah.
That's like something different. A little too vague for me.
Yeah, exactly. I just thought it was weird because Mamdani is sort of, and I think that people have even acknowledged it outright to say that Mamdani's election for them was sort of a permission slip.
Yes.
And I think that that's the case for his chief of staff, Lamont's chief of staff, and Democrats writ large.
Well, and look at what's happening in states like Washington State, Illinois, Massachusetts. They're all going for the tax the millionaires. They're all going for the very radical income tax programs that are going to leave those states economic wastelands.
Yeah.
Starbucks is moving out of the state of Washington.
Just heard it today.
Literally. These states, and what's so pathetic about it, tragic, I would say, is that the people who can't leave are the ones who need a job the most.
Yeah. Oh, and it would be the poor ones who foot the bill. Because if you...
The least mobile are the victims of this, because when they raise the rates in these states, the companies move, the executives move.
And someone's got to be taxed. And who's ever left, those will be the ones bearing the brunt of it.
And they also lose any economic opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah. The poorer will be taken care of, but in a less equitable way, because the people who will fund it will not be that wealthy either.
No. Absolutely not.
Because
and that's
they can't
exactly
go.
what's happening to Connecticut.
Yeah, that's 100% right. Betsy, it is always a pleasure to have you here. Again, Betsy2026.com. I can't wait. April 30th is our date that we're going to have our debate. And
I'm very excited about that. And remember, folks, axe the tax. Axe the tax. It's tax time now. Think how much more pleasant that time of year will be when you're not paying the state income tax anymore. When we make Connecticut the tax haven of the Northeast, Florida without the palm trees.
Yeah, I hear you, without a doubt.
Right.
Betsy McCaughey, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. We'll take a break and return. It's Reese on the radio.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
I have all of these guests here, and I have to keep changing all of the titles on this screen. I need an assistant. I would hire.
How much does it pay?
Zero. It's
I
an intern.
already do it for free.
Yeah,
so.
there you go. Roseanne is back here. Betsy's always a lot of fun, and she's fiery as all get out. Yes, there is equal time for Stuart and Fazio. If you want to come on, you're always invited. You guys know that. Beyond the shadow of a doubt. Lamont, you can come in too.
If he remembers.
That's not nice. He can come in whenever he wants. We'd love to have him. I want to read this. Peter said something interesting about what you brought up. Peter said, everything that needed to be said about this issue was said when you described all the kids in the room not on devices but reading books. Case closed.
Yeah.
And Peter, Dad, you're 100% right, because that was an interesting thing that I saw. You didn't really recognize it in the sense of, like, it was so broadly, sort of telegraphed.
I think people are accustomed to when you see kids like
Yes.
this, you assume that there is a device in their hands. I'm a bibliophile. I love books. I collect books. I prefer, hard-covered books. I love the smell of them. I love the feel. I love books, right? And so when I saw people walking in and I saw kids with books and parents, with younger kids and moms are holding books and turning pages for the little kids, just look at the pictures. Yeah. That's what caught my attention.
The one kid, when you were inside the viewing room, I went out to go get some B-roll of just the people who were downstairs because there was massive crowds down there. As I walked to the escalator, there was one little boy, had to be about 4 years old. He was on the floor, like a kid would be on the floor, and was on his stomach with a little notepad writing.
Yeah.
With a pencil. And I walked past it and just went, there's no desks here, but he just wanted to write. And there he was writing his book. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And I just walked past him, but not realizing, you're so right. That's what these kids were doing, writing, holding signs.
I bet you if you put a 4-year-old with an iPad and a 4-year-old with a pen and paper next to one another, the kid with the pen and paper is going to be far more intellectually advanced than the kid with the iPad. Mm-hmm. Studies are showing that there's brain shrinkage already. There's white matter loss in kids that are using tablets and cell phones, whereas kids with pen, paper, a book have far more folds and wrinkles in the brain.
Like I said, this all of these issues are just interesting.
Operation Beige Baby. I'm just putting it out there.
No, it's not going to happen. I want to just make this clear. So, I have these people on the left who always send me text messages, and I'm very encouraged by them writing to me. But I know, because of what they write, how afraid they are of where we are as a state. They are nervous about where we are, because all they can talk about is Republicans. And as soon as you ask them about the state of the Democrat Party in Connecticut and what they're pushing, they immediately change the subject. So I know that there is a sea change that is happening. And it's not, again, the homeschooling thing is just the tip of the iceberg. This is going to be far more than that with everything. And I think that there may be an attitude, if you will, that says, you know what, we're a supermajority. We can do anything we want.
They're proving it right now. They've already got that mindset.
And that mindset is, I kind of think that's going to be its undoing.
It's destroying every fabric of this nation. If we like I said it before, is the kids, you guys have had it long enough. You've shown that you are incapable of making good decisions. Sit down and let the grown-ups work now.
Yeah, I think
we have work to do. Yep. There are things that need to be set straight. We have to clean up a lot of messes, and it's okay. Mommy's not mad, but just sit down quietly and let us fix it.
When we come back, Cara Pavalock-D'Amato is here. We'll talk to her in a quick second. Stand by. Here's Mark Christopher. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio. And don't say we didn't warn you on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, this is usually where we do the weird intro where we talk to our guests for a couple of minutes and then we immediately interrupt them to go to traffic and weather. So in the house today is Cara Pavalock-D'Amato. And I was having a difficult time pronouncing Pavalock. That is what was that derived from? It is Polish. I thought it was. I knew I should have trusted my instinct. But D'Amato is clearly Italian.
It is.
It is. Husband Italian?
Yes, although I'm more Italian than he is. So
are you?
I remind him all the time.
Sort of by trade, right? Like sort of like by guff, so to speak.
He's got the boxing gloves hanging from his rearview mirror, so I guess that qualifies him to be more Italian than I am.
Yeah. Now, just help me if I'm right here or if I'm wrong. I'm almost certain. Your husband is a part of the construction dynasty in town, the D'Amatos. You guys are everywhere.
Correct. Yes, the light blue trucks.
Yeah, I mean everywhere. Like you guys are everywhere.
Stay busy.
Where you stay busy. Your husband's capacity there is just employee, worker, heir, what?
Yeah, kind of everything.
Everything.
Yeah, as I think his father is getting older, and his grandfather is now retired. Now it's being passed down. So a bigger role all the time, and they do a lot of the school construction stuff.
Well, that's great. Well, you guys are, I mean, everyone talks about you, and I mean in glowing ways, not in a bad way. with the exception of the recent controversies with your jacket, which we will get into. I know it's been far removed since the incident took place, but we've got other issues to deal with, of course, with all of those hearings that went on today. I want to get your take on that and talk to you a little bit about the state of the Republican Party here in Connecticut, because I think it prompted you to do what you did with that ICE-in jacket. So I know your frustration is clear, so I want to share that with the audience, okay?
Thank you.
All right, stand by. As I said, Cara Pavalock-D'Amato is here. I'm going to let it flow off the tongue eventually. Mark Christopher's here as well. He is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
All right, we're back. It's Reese on the radio right here with Cara Pavalock-D'Amato. See, I was sitting there rehearsing it in my head. Finally got it. Cara, let's get to the thing that you originally were supposed to be here for, but then you had that incident that you had to deal with. It is finally, thank God. I'm so happy for you that incident is fixed. I didn't want to put any of your business out on the street, so I never told anybody.
It's okay.
So I'm glad that it was resolved, and you got everything back, by the way, right?
Yes.
Okay, good. You are here because you got a lot of controversy with the ICE-in jacket you wore in session, and I guess it was during a debate about ICE.
It was actually opening day.
Okay.
So,
yes, it was opening day. Yes.
So no debate here.
Okay.
It was just the governor was giving his speech.
Right.
And even without somebody telling me, I knew what was going to happen.
Right.
It doesn't take a genius to know that he's going to bring it up. It's the hottest topic politically right now. So I knew he was going to bring it up. Mm-hmm. And I know their stance because they brought up bills in the past. There's more bills this year. Mm-hmm. And so sure enough, without fail, he started to talk about it at the end. And, it's on a jacket, which, by the way, wasn't the first time I had ever worn something. I had worn a MAGA jacket in the past, a MAGA dress. Oh, yeah, it wasn't the first time. Other people that day had pins. They had ICE out pins.
Right.
They're going to wear
those. Did they have the expletive ICE thing?
I don't think so, but I don't know. I didn't see them because they're so small.
Right.
So
other people had shown political expressions on their clothing.
Yes. Yeah. Right. And so I put the jacket, had the jacket on. I was told to take it off, and I said, I am not taking this off. You're going to have to rip it off my dead body.
My wife was outraged at one of the, I think the person who had said, do you understand me, young lady, or something along that line. I have no idea who the person was who said that in the chamber, but it was someone who was directing, I guess, who was talking about decorum in the building. And I can't remember who it was.
Was it a male?
Man, it was a man.
Maybe it was then the speaker talked to the chamber the next day about.
Yes, it was the next day. Exactly.
I wasn't in the chamber, so it didn't really matter.
So he didn't say it to you.
And I respect the speaker, right? I respect the House rules, to which I always read, before every session. And even though they're given to us that day. Right. But, the next day he was supposedly speaking to everybody. Mm-hmm. So fine. But, I didn't hear that part because I did hear most of it. I didn't hear that part. I'll have to re-listen to it. Yeah. But again, for me, it's just not going to faze me. Didn't apologize. I'm not going to, and I'm going to stand by it, and we'll see what happens down the road too.
What is your issue with this as it pertains to ICE and the way in which people in the legislature, the governor, mayors across this state have been attacking ICE agents and that job? Why did you take a personal affront to the way that's happening?
Well, my first husband was from Venezuela, and we went through this process legally. It took about a year. During most of that time, he actually had to go back. He was, I believe, in Aruba at the time. Well, that's where we met. I lived in Aruba. And so he went back to Venezuela or Aruba, and we had to go through that process. And for me, the exception to legal immigration is when you are an asylum seeker, right? So that's the exception. Otherwise, everybody needs to go through the legal process. Right. There's safety concerns, background checks. They need to financially be able to support themselves.
Very important.
Or have a skill that their employer vouches for. So there's a reason we do that. And we've seen the result you can go to the government website and other ones to see these mugshots of individuals who are here illegally, child traffickers, child and then abuse. I mean, it's all over the place, and we see it in our court systems too. It's completely out of control, and I want to be safe. I want my child to be safe.
The part that I don't seem to understand, that just to get sort of in the weeds a little bit about what you said, is what bothers me the most is the separation inside our news media that in one breath echoes the sentiment of the John Larsons who screams at ICE calling them the SS, and then the same day reporting about traffickers who were arrested in our court system, who were caught by ICE, if not police officers, whatever the case is, they are caught by law enforcement doing some of the heinous stuff, and never the two shall meet. Like, if I'm a cameraman and a reporter talking to John Larson, who is screaming about, this isn't the SS, and then I know I have a story about a guy who was just caught trafficking minors to the tune of 12 to 15-year-olds, and I don't stop John Larson and say, hey, what about this guy? That's the part that I don't understand, the divide. Does that frustrate you or the legislature at all?
That is a common theme, not only with the media, but with you gave John Larson as a great example. I like him as a person. But he brought somebody from Bristol who it was a different situation, right? And that's the other thing that bothers me whenever I see these stories in the media. Mm-hmm. It's always somebody was arrested. Look, I'm sure there are mistakes that happen, but every story that I've seen is somebody who is breaking the law. Mm-hmm. And they don't seem to mention that. They think there's no problem with that. Yeah. And John Larson brought somebody whose appointment to, I believe, for their citizenship ceremony had gotten deferred, canceled, postponed. And yet he's got somebody in Bristol that he could have brought up, a woman I know whose father was murdered by an illegal alien down in Florida. Now, why not bring her up? Yeah. No, he brings this other person who, again, is somebody with a green card, right? And somebody who's a citizen. It's not an issue they face. Yeah. And I'm not saying that, again, there hasn't been mistakes. I'm sure there have, right? And that's just in life across the board. But when you're talking about the majority of individuals who in that situation are here illegally, they overstayed their visa. That is called an illegal alien, period.
Why, with all of this that is happening, and we're watching it right here in the state of Connecticut, and I know that the people of Connecticut have become frustrated with the constant drumming of more and more people being arrested for heinous stuff. Why do you believe that it's not resonating with the supermajority? Is it because they're a supermajority and they're just not held accountable to that? And why do you think that is, if anything?
As in the supermajority of the legislature?
Yeah, of the legislature, yeah.
They're in the supermajority. They have, when I first got in, we were 4 seats short in the legislature, and that has grown over time.
Sure.
And that's frustrating for me, but they definitely don't have any accountability when it comes to checks and balances. Mm-hmm. I remember a rep years ago who replied to somebody's email when it came to removing the religious exemption for vaccines, and said, we're in the majority, we can do whatever we want.
Wow.
And that was the response to his constituent. Look, there are things that they do all the time. They just had an emergency bill.
Yeah.
No emergency whatsoever. And I heard they're going to do it again. Why? I mean,
is it to pass any of these things that were being debated today?
I don't know. I don't know the specifics, but I do know that an emergency bill doesn't go through the public hearing process, doesn't go through the committee process. But I'll also say that they use that. They also use the implementer, the budget implementer, to pass bills that maybe don't pass out of committee, that maybe passed and just are still hanging there and not making it to the floor of the House. They can do anything they want, and that's what they do. They don't go through the legislative process, which is what this country is based on.
We're here live with Cara Pavalock-D'Amato, representative of the 77th District in Bristol. And we have right now the federal government who is fighting for the voter rolls of the state of Connecticut. Has anybody asked you your opinion about this? And if not, what is your opinion?
As in what about the voter rolls? As in
getting those numbers. The federal government wants to know who's on the voter roll so we can find out whether or not there are any people who are on the voter rolls who are not supposed to be there. There's a follow-up to this. There's a reason why I'm asking you this. Do you have an opinion on that? Have you even been following that?
I have somewhat. I am aware that we have not provided the information that's been asked for.
It's being fought by William Tong.
Right. And, of course, we keep giving money to him and his department to bring lawsuit after lawsuit. Mm-hmm. And I believe I think there's a bill that would exclude ballots from any FOIA requests and some other information as well. Again, goes back to the other points I was bringing up as far as secret, right? Not going through the legislative process, trying to hide things. And why? This is an open process. It's an open government. Mm-hmm. When you, on election day, when the person is looking at all the ballots counting, people have a right to be there. It's not a secret process.
Exactly.
That's not what our government, that's not what our founders created, and that's not what this whole country is based on. And they just, little by little, chip by chip, keep hiding things, keep changing definitions, and really, it's, what are you hiding?
And that's the part that I don't seem to understand that's going on here in Connecticut. Is that any fair-minded person, no matter what your political stripe is, if you have a government that is keeping things from its, I guess, voters, if not just its constituents writ large, if you are doing things and you're doing it openly to keep the public from engaging, as you said, like the FOIA request isn't for the federal government, it's for you and I. If we wish to know who's in the voter rolls, if I wish to find out whether or not this vote was illegal, I can't even petition my government to find out if something is on the up and up. They are making that process harder for me to do that if I believe that there's something suspicious going on. Why wouldn't anyone make an issue with that, no matter what you are? I would think that would be an issue for a Democrat as well as a Republican, is my point.
Right. Well, that's, again, the same as that emergency bill. You have the No Kings people who are there saying, no kings, no kings. And then the next day when they do an emergency bill, no problem. It's the same with the voter rolls and all that information. You would think, open process, right? That's no kings. But yet all the actions up there are the direct opposite. And I can't explain it because I'm not doing it. But the other thing that bothers me is we constantly, let's say, they're not providing that information, right? So then a lot of times there are financial consequences that we as a state, that happen to us, right? Money taken away. So then it turns into, the government's taking money away from us. And they're just punishing us for no reason. And then it's victim play all over again on another level. And they just play up the TDS left and right. It's amazing.
You are a MAGA mom, I presume.
I'm an America First mom.
I got
right?
You. I hear you.
So, and yes, I respect my president and I support my president for sure. But I am, definitely a MAGA mom, make America great over and over again.
I'm going to ask you this when we get on the other side of it. Roseanne had a great question about people making a much to do about ICE at the polling places. Has anyone talked to you about this at all? If they have addressed you about this at all?
I have heard of the bill, but nothing surprises me because they just make it up as they go along.
I know a listener who is on the left actually said that to me and said that Trump is trying to disrupt the elections by having ICE there. And he doesn't even understand the basis or even the most basic response to that. Why would you be concerned? And I've asked this over and over again. The concern is what? I would look at this. Look, if Donald Trump put ICE at a polling place, let's say he was doing this, if it wasn't just hyperbole, but if he was doing this, defiantly, I would if I never went to an election again, I would bring my a legitimate American behind down to the polling place to vote in spite of him. If anything, it should encourage people to show up at the polling places.
Well, it's if illegals aren't voting, right, which they insist they're not, okay, all right, then I guess they're just standing there wasting their time. So wouldn't they be happy that they were standing there wasting their time, right?
You know what? Again, this is how insane it is, because the bottom line is everything that Donald Trump has done, they believe encourages people to come out even more, right? They say they hate him so much, and this encourages the nationwide protest, right? And there are millions and millions of people who are coming out because they are responding to everything that Donald Trump does, and they are trying to to fight for democracy. Right. Well, if Donald Trump puts ICE agents, then that would, if I'm standing there on the left, I'm going, that would encourage me to exercise my civic duty by showing up.
You're talking rationally, and that's what you have to throw out the window. Okay, give that up. That has no place here. So you just can't explain things, and none of it a lot of times makes sense. But we can walk through. We can have these hearings. We can try to talk rationally. And at the end of the day, when it comes to the floor of the House, and I assure you that half the people aren't even in the room. Okay, they're not listening to the debate anyways. They're just going to vote the way they're told. Yeah. And so it's frustrating. And I tell people over and over, it comes down to elections every time. What's happening now is it's past the point. Focus on November, because that's what's important.
You think we got a shot this November?
For
governor, at least.
Realistically, I want to be positive, and yes, I hope so. But I think in this state, it's very difficult, and I think having a primary doesn't necessarily help.
Okay.
And I think we really need to band together like they do. And until we do that, and drag people out, right? Get people, hey, you have to, even if you hate this person, I don't care. Aaron's this, that, or Ryan's this. That's fine, but just come out, because really in the past when you see some of the numbers, it really did make a difference.
It would have. We'll take a break. Let's get some weather and traffic in here. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. We are live with Cara Pavalock-D'Amato. We'll continue with her on the other side. Hey, Mark.
Stay locked in. Reese on the radio is on WTIC News Talk 1080.
Her name is Manisha Juthani. That's her name. I have her up on the screen. We're behind the scenes talking. We're here with Cara Pavalock-D'Amato, talking about a host of things. My wife is in a very, very unique position today, Cara, and let me explain to you why. She loves everything about politics right now. She wouldn't allow it in my house when we first got together at all.
Wow, that was smart.
And now now she is a diehard conservative.
Really? Nice.
Yeah. And it's for her to be in the room with people in the legislature and people running for office and meeting with state senators and all this stuff. She is like a pig in poop. You have no idea. She is running around with these folks and meeting them. She's having these conversations. I've got to drag her out of rooms now. This is my wheelhouse. Every part of this is the stuff that I lived for over 20 years. She's been here 15 minutes, and I can't get her out of the room.
Well, you know what that sounds like to me?
What?
That sounds like a candidate. That's what that sounds like. So
Ooh.
We'll work on that.
Okay.
We'll work on that.
All right. You know what? Anything that'll get her away from this baby-making thing, that would be helpful.
That'll keep her busy.
That'll be fantastic. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. Representative Roseanne. And it'll be interesting. I want to talk to you a little bit about the hearings that happened. Well, I guess you can call them their hearings that happened today. Get your take on some of those. Are you on any of the committees that are related to any of these?
So I'm the ranking member of Insurance and Real Estate.
Okay.
And let me start by saying that at this point, they actually don't send bills to us. They send them to Public Health because they know we will kill them in our committee because we are, rational people. And I'm also on appropriations.
Right.
And then I am also on judiciary. Okay. So the gun bills, the ICE bills have come before my committee Monday, and actually right now the hearing, I believe, is still going on.
That hearing's still going on. That's going to be on until, what, about midnight tonight, right?
That one will go late. Probably not as late. I think the other one, the public health one, will go till midnight.
Okay. What about the homeschooling will as well, I presume?
And that's in public health as well.
That's public health as well. Okay.
Correct.
All right. I'm trying to learn all of these. There's just so many of them. We'll talk to you a little bit about that when we get on the other side of traffic and weather. So thank you. Cara Pavalock-D'Amato is here. We're talking to her about everything that's going on in the state, about the elections, where we are. I am going to dig a little deeper on that question about who's running for governor. But, you already gave your opinion. I'm still going to press you on it. Let's get to that in a minute. Mark Christopher, he's at the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
The NAACP calls him, whoa, I don't think I'm allowed to read this. It's Reese on the radio. Let's just say some people are not fans. On News Talk 1080 WTIC.
We are back, and we are live with Cara Pavalock-D'Amato, the representative of the 77th District in Connecticut, Bristol. As it were, our church is in Bristol.
Really?
Nice. A Bridge Community Church.
Yes,
yeah,
that is
on
a very
School
well-known
Street.
Church. Yep.
Yeah. We just got baptized there on Sunday.
Nice. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Nice.
And it's funny because I have to go to grocery shopping at the Stop and Shop in Bristol. I realized that because there isn't one close to me in Farmington. But it's a nice one. It's a nice place. we love it. It's just the drive. I don't like to drive. Right. I have a rule about driving. I don't drive anywhere that's longer than 4 songs. And if it's, so if it's longer than that, then it's a worthless trip. Anyway, Representative, we have these hearings that are taking place. Some of them are going to go well into the night. And you know a couple of these very well, but I want to ask you about the ones that you're not directed or directly involved in. You have a young son here. How many kids do you have? You know what I'm asking?
One and done.
Just one and done. Okay. How old is the young man?
7.
7. Okay.
Yes.
You do not homeschool because you and your husband are very busy.
Correct, although I did consider it.
You have?
Yes, for the vaccine reason.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Okay. The homeschooling parents are absolutely out there today in droves. And it was an endless sea of these mothers with their children. And we were completely awestruck by them. How disciplined their children were, how dedicated these parents are. What's your take on this administration, Martin Looney in particular, trying to get these parents who want to homeschool their kids a DCF file in order to do so?
Right. So there's an implication that they're doing something wrong or that they're not teaching their kids, when we all know that homeschooled kids, they get one-on-one attention, right? Which is really what most kids need.
Yeah.
And every homeschool kid that I know is far ahead of their counterparts in schools, even public or private, right? Because it does come down to that individual attention. Mm-hmm. And I admire parents that have the patience and dedication to homeschool their kids. And if I could, I do think it's a better option. But of course, many families can't afford to do it.
Sure, of course. They can't make that sacrifice for obvious reasons.
Right. But I do know I have, over the years, met many homeschool families. My neighbor homeschools her kids. And I'm always impressed with exactly what you just explained, their behavior, their knowledge, and their discipline. You have to have, right, a lot of self-discipline in order to get up at home and go to that corner of the house and teach your kids and do the research. It's a lot of work, right, for a lesson plan. And I really do admire them. If I could, I definitely would. I have to say I couldn't go to the Capitol today to see, but when they were trying to pass the vaccine bill, I did actually represent the father and mother and father in that vaccine case, the first vaccine case years ago in Connecticut.
Talk to me a little about that.
That was, it was, again, the percentages of vaccines were published of kids who were not vaccinated were published. And my client's son went to a very small school. So it was very easy to pick out and point out. Now, his kid also had autism.
In essence, he was given a scarlet letter.
Yes, exactly. And so he was threatened online and said, we're going to throw peanut butter at your kid. Just really
Holy moly.
Really awful things that. And really the way I saw that actually some of these kids and parents were treated up at the Capitol, and I'm sure, again, it happened today, is just awful. These are children.
Yeah.
And again, if you're vaccinated, what do you care? Like, it doesn't affect you. Yeah. But there are some kids and some people who just, it's not right for them, right? It's not right for their kid, and failing to recognize that everybody in this world is different.
Yeah.
And that it's just not just not okay for some, and they had bad reactions because you're not going to get a medical exemption in this state. It is not going to happen. I don't care what happens to you and what you tried. No doctor will give it. No doctor at all.
It's incredible because I find it, and don't worry, it's okay. You can deal with him. That's your boy. If there's anything I can take from most of this that's going on, and I think the part that bothers me the most is that we should be commending, and it's weird that it's not happening, but we used to have a time where we were fighting, especially legislatively. We were fighting for mothers and children, right? What was the whole point of paid sick leave or what was the other thing? Not paid sick leave, but the other one. Paternity leave for parents was a big deal for people on the left because mothers and mothers and mothers and mothers. It was always the same case. And now we're seeing this sort of like abandonment of mothers who are making what I can only describe as the ultimate sacrifice. Every mother I've talked to so far, you know what they keep saying about the word sacrifice? The thing is that they have abandoned the idea of a career, right? Because a lot of women were made to, in the 80s, of course, 70s even, to pursue a career. They were sort of driven out of the home and not taking care of their kids. They've seen the errors in that have obviously permeated within our school system. Now they've decided to cut off that financial sort of, I would say, advantage to then come home and take care of their kids, which they believe is a bigger sacrifice or much more important to them to be at home. And we as a government or even people, we're not rewarding those families by saying, leave them alone. They've taken what was the biggest problem that we had in schools for, I want to say, the last 25 to 30 years was school sizes. We just saw a report out of
classrooms.
Large classrooms. We just saw a report in the Connecticut Mirror that says that they have the lowest attendance rate in schools than ever in Connecticut schools. So in essence, they don't have an excised amount of kids inside the classroom. The teacher, and guess what they're arguing about? They want more money for less kids. Yeah. Which leads me to believe that that's what all of this is about.
Right. Oh, well, it always is, right? Let's face it. It never has to do with the actual issue, because when you look at the vaccine, just the way that, when we argued that on the floor, I'll say that when you really look at the science, I happen to look at all of the statistics because of my case. And any case, let's say, where somebody died, which there are very few over the last, I'd say 50 years that I looked at, right? It was because somebody traveled outside of the country. And when they came back, they brought something back with them. And then there was, let's say, a lot of cases, not a lot, but the ones, I think it was like an infant, right? Because they weren't old enough to even get that vaccine yet. And so you're not looking at facts, right? We don't ever argue facts up there. That's for sure. It's all emotion. And that's the upsetting part, because when you legislate based on emotion and not based on statistics and facts, well, you get sloppy laws and you get ineffective laws, and that's where we are today.
The gun bill that is being sort of presided over, or the conversation has been talked about or ballyhooed about as of recent. Betsy McCaughey was here earlier talking about, if you want to change something on the gun that you already own, in essence, you have to re-register your gun, which you're subject to licenses and fees. What are some of the other things that they're talking about in here that you're opposed to?
Well, what the bill today that we had the public hearing on and have the public hearing on, it's a piece. Now, what I did gather from a lot of testimony was that there's a term in there that even the most experienced gun owners, gun shop owners, gun owners, and then also gun instructors have never heard before. They had to Google it in the room because they have no idea what they're talking about. And then on top of that, it's a piece that changes the Glock, okay, somehow. And while liberals were arguing that, no, we're if you're not breaking the law, then it doesn't affect you.
Right.
But essentially that piece, if that piece is on your gun, or no, if the piece could be on your gun even.
Right.
Could be, not on your gun, could be, that you can't own that Glock anymore, that type of Glock.
Right.
And so all these individuals who have Glocks and this certain type, now are committing a crime, basically. Like you can't have them anymore.
Yeah, you've actually committed a crime after the fact.
Exactly.
When doing something legal is now become criminal after the fact, which in essence now you have to retroactively be a criminal.
But you can't do ex post facto laws anyways. That's a given.
Well, I understand that there were some constitutional issues with this.
There always are. But here we just pass them, and then because there's so many bad ones, it's like they just wait and see, okay, are we going to get sued? And then I think that's the chance that they take. Like, oh, because you can't have money for all of them.
Do they not? You've been there. How long have you been in office now?
I'm in my 12th year.
Okay. Is it common to see so many people in the legislature not understand constitutional law or the Constitution? Is that a given, or is that regular? Is it norm?
I would guess that probably less than 5% of people up there have read the Connecticut Constitution, for sure.
Much less any Constitution,
yeah.
Right?
And then the federal, probably less than 10%, 100%. So
what we're doing is we're passing laws, and then we're finding out whether or not they meet the muster of the Connecticut, if not federal, Constitution.
Oh,
after the fact.
That is a total side note for most people up there, I would say. Yeah. Oh, yes.
The part that makes me laugh, as Betsy was talking about that, is like it's hard to believe that this is actually happening in the Constitution state. Oh, the irony.
It's insulting that that's what we're called, because we do not deserve to be called that.
I got to be honest with you. Can I tell you something what I really, really believe? And this is going to be mean. I've seen some of the people in the legislature. I've seen them. And I'm stunned that these people have ever passed a social studies class. These people are mad ghetto.
It's just there's people are. I would not say that.
Well,
but however,
I don't care.
It's just it's not taking the time to do the research. It's being reactionary and reading the bills. I guarantee you that most people don't read the bills, and never mind understand them. So that's the frustrating part for me, that we take an oath to the Constitution of Connecticut and the United States, period. We actually don't have to. There's nobody else we have a loyalty to except for the Constitution. Yeah. And that is the very last thing, if at all, that most people consider.
I look at these people and I would put my litmus test for half the people, if not all the leftists or Democrats in Connecticut, would be one simple question. Do you believe that the Constitution is a living and breathing thing? And I bet you 80 to 90% of them would say yes. It's serious, because if they knew how many countries' constitutions have been changed in a matter of 10, 15, 30 years even, how many times they have been changed versus our Constitution, which in essence has to go through a process in order to be changed. If they understood those two and then compare said country and their constitutional laws changing in ours, I think they would sort of understand why it's important that our Constitution not be living and breathing and, in most cases, malleable to a lot of this, nonsense that these people believe. And, I started off by saying, I said it to Betsy even, that we are the only country where people do not understand that we should not have to petition our government for our basic rights.
Right.
And that's the world that we're living in, is that the Second Amendment is a Bill of Rights that we have to petition the government in order to exercise. Yeah. And nobody sees anything wrong with that.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy. There's a lot of, I'd say, even basic rights that they don't, I don't think they understand the concept of what that actually means and the effect of these laws that we pass. And you mentioned another country, and I don't think that they even have been to another country to really appreciate, what we have.
Right.
Because as your wife had mentioned, I lived in Miami, and I can tell you that most of the individuals down there are very appreciative, because it was a lot of Cubans, individuals down there, and what they came from and what they fought and just to be here. Is so starkly different. And like the horror stories.
Yeah.
And from my husband, my ex-husband as well.
Yeah.
Just the factory taken away, everything taken away, friends kidnapped and killed. They have no idea. They're so ungrateful for what we have here.
This is what happens when you become too many generations removed from the greatest. I say the reason why we as Gen Xers really, really understand the importance of our Constitution is because thankfully my grandfather was part of the greatest generation. As the generations go on, the further removed you are from that generation who understands why the Constitution is important to us, you will take it for granted. And that's what we have. We have a sea of individuals who do not see the importance of our own civil basic rights in this country.
100%.
It is insanity. Cara Pavalock, thank you for coming onto the program. I'm sorry that it took so long to get you here, but it has been fantastic. Young man, you finally get your mother back. We are ending all this. He's looking at me. He's finally smiling. It's over.
Thank you for having us.
I really, really do appreciate it. And please come back when you can. I'll send you an email. By the way, is that telephone number good for you? The one that's on your email, is that your office number?
That both of them are on there.
Both of them?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll reach out to you. So, because emails I barely ever see. I'm not good with them. But I'll give you a holler. Folks, Cara Pavalock-D'Amato, representative of the 77th District. We are going to get another check of weather and traffic, and we'll wrap up the show with your phone calls at 860-522-WTIC. Mark Christopher.
The hour that packs a punch. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're back. Reese and Roseanne, we're here. We're live. I don't want to not do music news, so let's do it. News. Thank you for humoring me, Roseanne. I got to go quick because we're only on a minute. Anyway, Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy fame. He turns 76 today. Lisa Loeb also has a birthday today. She turns 58 today. Joel and Benji Madden of the rock pop group Good Charlotte. They both turned 47 today. They're twins. One of the original members of the R&B group Destiny's Child, LaToya Luckett, who got kicked out after the first album. She turns 45 today. Also, anniversaries and album anniversaries today go to Crosby, Stills, and Nash and Young. They released their landmark album Deja Vu in 1970. They celebrated their 56th anniversary. Chicago released the album Chicago 7, celebrating its 52nd anniversary. And Alice Cooper released Welcome to My Nightmare, his first solo album after his band's breakup. That celebrates its 51st anniversary. So that is your music news. Bobby McFerrin, Don't Worry, Be Happy. The best video I ever saw was the Family Guy doing a Bobby McFerrin falling down a flight of stairs, going to boo, beep. It was the best video ever. It still makes me laugh every time I think about it. But if there's any song I cannot stand, it is Don't Worry, Be Happy. In fact, when we come back after Mark Christopher at the BPS Traffic Center, I'm going to ask this question. What is the best top 40 song you know? In other words, it's corny, but it is a good top 40 song.
It's Reese on the radio on News Talk 1080 WTIC.
Reese and Roseanne, we are here live. I got to bring your camera down so that you can be seen. There you go.
Sorry.
That's all right. I was saying before the break.
About 11?
You don't have a... No, I wasn't talking about her. You said something funny. What did you say about...
I don't know. Everything I say is funny.
Yeah, that's right. That's ha, ha, ha. Anyway, I'll remember it in a minute. You mentioned something. Oh, you called me a hall raiser. That's not even funny.
Phil Dunphy said that guys who follow Hall & Oates are hall raisers, yes. And I believe that is based in fact.
Not a thing.
Who better than Phil Dunphy of Modern Family, who was himself a hall raiser, would know better?
It's not a real thing. The first time she saw that on Modern Family, she looked at me because she knew that I like Hall & Oates. And she looked at me and I had to scream at her, that's not a thing. That is not a thing. There's no such thing as Hall raisers. We do not follow Hall & Oates all around.
Ask Rock.
You can ask him all you want.
I'm going to ask Rock.
Doesn't happen. I was saying behind the scenes, Roland, do you know any top 40 songs? And when I say top 40, usually top 40 songs are relatively corny songs. Okay, let me give you some.
I wouldn't say that, but okay.
No, hear me out. A top 40 song is a song that, somebody from, I don't know, Duluth would like. Okay, it's like Celine Dion, Cyndi Lauper, right? What's the other one?
I've got a perfect one.
Starship. Okay, anything that Casey Kasem would have introduced on radio would be considered a top 40 song. It could be a rap record. Bust a Move is a top 40 record. Can't Touch This by MC Hammer is a top 40 song. You know them. Some of you love them. What I'm saying is, can you, if you had to decide, a top 40 song that you have to admit is actually a really, really good jam? What would you say that was if you had to pick, is top 40 corny milquetoast? You would hear it at a grocery store.
There's a lot of songs, man.
There's a lot of songs. I can name a few. Okay, let me start you off. What do you got? Go ahead, Roseanne.
I've got by
Oh, Take On Me.
Take On Me?
You call that a solid record?
Love that song.
Solid top 40? Fine.
Absolutely.
I think it qualifies.
I even know all the words to this one.
No, you don't.
I do.
You know all the words to it.
I know all the words.
Yeah, okay, fine. We'll figure that out. Don't start singing. You do it all the time.
Bruno Mars.
Bruno Mars.
Yep.
Okay, which one? Which song? Were you going to say 24 Karat?
No.
What's that Bruno song's top 40 record?
Got the lace.
Bruno Mars.
The funk song.
Uptown Funk.
Yeah, Uptown Funk.
Okay,
yeah.
Solid track.
Yeah.
It's mad corny, though. Solid track. It's mad corny.
That
record is corny.
That's a banger.
No. It is a crowd pleaser at a wedding.
Anything by Britney Spears.
Anywhere.
No, it's not.
Yeah, anywhere. You drop that song anywhere, they're going to start dancing and singing.
I never danced to that record.
You don't dance to anything.
Anywhere, any public place where you drop that, if you put a DJ in there and you drop that record, people are going to hit the dance floor.
Uptown Funk.
Yep.
Oh, I can't deal with that song. I'm never going to say that. Okay, I will give you an example, my example, okay? Hall & Oates' Kiss on My List is a corny, good record, okay? Man Eater.
Dancing Queen?
Solid record.
Anything from Dirty Dancing soundtrack?
I so hate you right now. Okay, yes, absolutely. Let me see.
Taylor Swift, a bunch of her songs.
Okay.
They're
Shake It Off is a solid record.
Oh, got a video of you dancing to that in the Wawa.
That's true.
Oh, you know what?
What?
Hey Ya.
Hey Ya, solid record.
Yeah.
Solid record.
Yeah.
I would even go so far talking about Shake It Off. I'm not going to lie. Another one, Kendrick Lamar and Taylor Swift. Do you know what song it is? Come on, you got to know this. Taylor Swift did a record with Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah, I know the song. I just don't know the name.
Why can't I remember the name of it right now? Oh,
it sounds horrible.
It is. No, it's a really, really good record.
Is it?
Yeah, it's a really good record. And it's not coming to me now. But that's a solid song. I'll give them that one.
What is that one? I've got friends in lower places.
Okay, solid top 40 record.
What's the name of that song?
Isn't that I Got Friends in Low Places? Isn't that
Friends
Garth?
in Low Places.
Isn't that Garth Brooks?
Yeah, anything like Brooks had done,
Garth
too.
Brooks.
Yeah, that's a Garth Brooks. Okay, Regulate by Warren G.
Oh, that's
solid record.
You think it's
a top 40 record?
You think that's a corny song?
It's a corny song.
That's what we played
nah, that song is
It
fire.
is the worst record that includes Nate Dogg, and I think Nate Dogg
song is fire.
No, and Nate Dogg's done some garbage
Nate
records,
Dogg,
but
Warren G got to regulate.
No,
yeah,
Dude's
that
talking
song
about
is
getting
fire.
beat up.
What's that?
He's like glorifying, hey, I got beat up, and then my homie showed up, and then it was all
My
good.
point is that it's a corny record, and everyone knows it. And, of course, because Michael McDonald is in it, makes it a top 40 record. It just
that
does.
Coolio song?
Gangsta's Paradise is not a solid record.
Yeehaw,
you don't think so?
one.
No, it is not a solid record.
Oh, my. It was a top. You said a top 40.
Yeah, but it's not a solid record. It's whack. It's just whack.
That song's fire.
When I see somebody driving up listening to Gangsta's Paradise, I literally want to give them a ticket.
I know that whole song word for word.
Of course you do. It's as simple as it gets. Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me by none other than...
Title too long.
It's actually just called Knock 3 Times. But I was just giving the entire the chorus line because it's by Tony Orlando and Dawn. Not a solid record. It isn't in... It doesn't matter that one of my relatives is in the band. It is not a solid record.
Bad Bunny.
Nothing by him
Ridiculous
is good.
Rabbit.
Everything.
Bad Blood. That's the song.
Oh, okay. You know Bad Blood. Bad Blood.
Bad
like
Blood.
But
yes, that's a solid record. And it is a top 40 corny record. It's a solid song.
That song by Queen.
Okay. Bohemian Rhapsody.
There you go, that one.
Top 40 record, but it wasn't supposed to be. I'm so over that song. However, awesome. I will say, Crazy Little Thing Called Love, top 40 record, really, really solid.
Yeah, one of my favorite records of all time ever is Journey Separate Ways.
Yes, good record. Good record, solid record. I would go so far as to say You're a Hard Habit to Break, I think, is by Cetera. What's his name? John Cetera, whatever his name?
Peter Cetera.
Peter Cetera, that's his name. Yeah, solid record. Also, the soundtrack to Robin Hood, the Kevin Costner one.
Robin Hood Men in Tights?
Yeah, no, that's wrong. That's Mel Brooks.
We're men in
That's wrong.
Tights.
No.
It's a great song, though.
Yeah, it is.
Great song.
That movie is hilarious.
I still love that movie. No, that's an awful record.
Dave Chappelle was in that movie,
Yes,
wasn't
he
he?
was. Yes, he was.
Was he a crackhead in that one, too?
No.
No. He wasn't.
His name was Achu.
Yeah. His name was Achu. Yeah.
His father's name was Asneez.
That movie was made by a bunch of dads doing
right.
dad jokes.
That thing was filled with dad jokes.
I tried to watch that movie with the boy when he was like 9 or 10.
Yes.
The opening scene, I was like, oh,
yes.
No.
Isaac Hayes plays Asneez. He says, I want you to go help my son, Achu. He goes, God bless you. He goes, no, that's my son's name. I still love that movie. I know every part of that movie. My favorite line is, he goes, when he meets Mel Brooks, and the Moyle, and he says to him, we said, I'm Robin Hood, and these are my merry men. And Mel Brooks goes, Fagalist? And he goes, no, we're straight, just merry. That movie is, you're right, it is a lot of dad jokes.
It's a bunch of dads that just
a lot of dad
wrote
jokes.
The script for that.
Absolutely. And I cannot, Spaceballs.
I watch it every time it comes on.
Do you really?
Like anytime I'm just like flicking through channels. And I'll land on that. For some reason, I end up watching the entire movie.
Oh,
yeah.
No.
Hey, John Beckman, you were right on point. Any song by Casey and the Sunshine Band, solid top 40 record, solid records. Casey and the Sunshine Band, they understood. I mean, the white boy could jam, without a doubt. Casey really understood rhythm. I'm just saying, he just did. Solid. You know what? Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake.
Booty.
That's right. Casey and the Sunshine
okay.
Band.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay.
Can't go wrong with him.
Okay.
He's absolutely fantastic. I will go with any one of those guys. But it was just running through my mind today as I was listening to all of this yacht rock. By the way, if you haven't seen the documentary, go check it out. It's called Yacht Rock, a documentary, doc spelled D-O-C-K. And it talks about the origins of all of this music that was in this era.
It was between disco and before R&B. It was sort of this little slip in between where it was a little emo, angsty, broken-hearted boy.
But I will tell you,
melody.
Here's the part that blew my mind, and I would have never known it had I not seen the documentary. This one will blow your mind, Roland. The album Thriller by Michael Jackson is 100% inspired by the yacht rock movement. Try this on for size. Quincy Jones decides he's going to do this album for Michael Jackson. There are 2, if not 3, key songs. I think it's even more than it. It may have been 4 key songs in the Thriller album that were all inspired by groups like Toto, Steely Dan, Michael McDonald, and Kenny Loggins. All of them. Human Nature, The Girl Is Mine. What was the other one? There's 2 other ones that are not coming to me, but I'll look them up. But they were Quincy Jones saw this movement going on with these white guys who could jam. And Toto and, of course, Steely Dan had all of these rhythmic songs that were coming out, two of which, I think the godfathers of yacht rock are Kenny Loggins and Michael McDonald, who had written two songs together that were songs of the year. This Is It, and I keep forgetting.
Well, the guy who did
Christopher Cross.
Yeah.
His story is amazing, how that guy won like every top 3 Grammy and Best New Artist in that year and beat out people like Barbra Streisand. No one ever heard of this guy, and he took home the 3 big Grammys plus Best New Artist. I think in the documentary he says that he wanted to go meet Barbra Streisand, but somebody told him it may not be a good time. Even Barbra Streisand was influenced by this, because I listened to a song we were playing in there, the song she did with Andy Gibb called Guilty. They did that song. It's actually a song I used to like. It's the only Barbra Streisand song I like.
Toto wrote a song about me.
Yes, Rosanna.
Yeah.
That's right.
I love that song.
I know you do. You really think it's about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you really do.
Have you listened to the words?
The song came out before you were born. Actually, it came out just after you were born.
Listen, it was a preview of what was to come. I had a lot to live up to.
Yeah, of course you did. Okay, when we come back, we'll take all your phone calls. If you want to respond to our guest today, Betsy McCaughey was in the house. Cara Pavalock-D'Amato was in the house. We'll talk to her. And what was that? That was weird. Oh, is that your phone going off?
Oh yeah. I put it on.
Do you have like a dinosaur sound effect that comes out of your phone?
No, I have. It's actually, if you currently, since 2015.
Yeah.
I'm the one that was responsible for the college football theme music on ESPN.
That's right.
And I did all of that. I edited all of that, and so I back then I made it one of my ringtones because I was proud of it. Something I created, and they still, obviously it's still the themes, still a theme music for ESPN today. So you just got one final check. You don't get any residuals from that. No. Because when you're under Disney, anything you create under Disney belongs to Disney.
Okay.
I could just say I did it, and
at least you can say that.
Know that.
Yeah, without a doubt. I was just going to say, let me get $5. I know.
Me and John Colby, he was the composer.
Yeah. By the way, Roseanne, now they're saying that Roseanne for governor, that now people are talking about, as long as they got off the baby thing.
Roseanne for governor.
Listen, I'm not opposed. I already told you shortly after we got here, I would love to run for office. It's one of the things I always wanted to do since I was very young.
You're in the right state.
I had my goals when I was a kid was join the military, go to law school, become an FBI agent, and run for political office. Those were the only one that's not going to happen is the FBI agent because I'm too old for the FBI. But
that's okay. That's all right. You can get you an FBI shirt. How about that? No. I want to somehow finagle my way into. I will be a contractor at the FBI. I don't care. That would be like a dream come true. Honestly, just get the creds. We'll be back. Mark Christopher, he is in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center.
The Odyssey app lets you jump back to the moments you missed from WTIC News Talk 1080. Download the free Odyssey app, search WTIC News Talk 1080, and tap earlier today to get started.
We're back. It's Reese. It's Roseanne. It's Reese on the radio on WTIC News Talk 1080. I would play the audio for Stupidest Thing I Read Today, but I figured that's not necessary. I got to hurry up. I heard this story. I thought it was funny, but I also thought it was stupid. Danbury is giving itself a pat on the back. It has been named among the top 10 diverse cities in the nation. Why has it been considered? Here it is. Ranking and context says Danbury was ranked 7th, the 7th most diverse city in the U.S. overall, making it a top-ranked city in Connecticut ahead of Bridgeport at 13, Stamford, which is at 26. It's an improvement from prior years, 9th in 2025 and 10th in 2024. reflecting ongoing demographic shifts inside Danbury. Now, the reason why I'm poking fun at this and why I think it's funny and stupid is because this is a clear example that people who write these stories are racists and bigots. And that is, they think that diversity is important because they have different people from different cultures and different colors. They think that is important. They do not see people as equals. They see them as other. They see them, oh, look at it. We got some Puerto Ricans over here. Look, there's some Mexicans over there. Is that guy Indian or Pakistani? I don't know. They pat themselves on the back about that because they're silly, infantile, and bigots. Folks, Danbury is not diverse. Danbury is like a town filled with peanut M&Ms. Sure, they may be all different colors, but they're all nuts. You see, diversity would be if Danbury was like a bag of Skittles. That means that every time you pop one in your mouth, there's a different flavor. You see, Danbury is over 65% Democrat. They're all the same with different colors. True diversity is having a dialogue about ways of life that see the world differently, and then they debate on it. And then they can actually work cohesively. They all have different ideas and different ways of life. A bunch of people with the same idea is not diversity. If you only see diversity in color, you're a racist, just so you understand. Okay? True diversity means your ideas are different. Not the textbook, stupid little way that people think that they're diverse. Okay? So stop patting yourself on the back. You're not doing anything remarkable. Remarkable would be giving exquisite traffic reports like our good friend Mark Christopher in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Hey, Mark.
What's up, everybody? You know who it is.
You know who it is.
You know who it is. It's Reese on the radio. Frederick Douglass of the 21st century.
It's WTIC News Talk 1080.
All right, we're about to get up out of here. We had what can only be described as an eventful day in downtown Hartford. Roseanne saw Hartford again during the daytime, and she says the same thing.
So not impressed. Who was it that recommended that we don't live there?
Mark in West Hartford said don't.
So
he was the first person to say don't live there.
When we first were looking at moving to the Hartford, Connecticut area, I was like, oh my gosh, I want to live in downtown Hartford. I want to be close to the water. I want to be where all this stuff is. And somebody was like walking through Hartford with the camera, like, this is why you don't want to live. And he's like, if you could smell it, you would smell nothing but marijuana. Marijuana makes me really nauseous.
It does.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
It was just by City Hall. We were crossing the street, and it was
gross.
Everywhere.
Garbage everywhere. There were people with, like, tattoos on their, like, face and chest and, like, looking at you.
We
like,
were near the courthouse, though.
We were by the criminal court, actually.
Superior Courthouse.
No,
yes.
it literally said criminal courthouse.
Oh, did it? Okay.
Yeah.
I missed that.
You would think that, you know, somehow, like, we'd offended everybody there because, you know, we had the caucasity of walking through the area. But the smell of marijuana is one thing. What I really hate is the garbage that's everywhere. It's not as bad as San Antonio where we saw people sleeping on the ground.
It's a clean city compared to
San
places
Antonio.
we've seen, sure.
But still, I mean, it's just the poverty. You know, NIMBY, I am a NIMBY. I am definitely not in my backyard. I have worked really, really hard to not live in those conditions, and thank you, Mark in West Hartford, for saving me from thinking
we're going to spend
live.
a lot of time in that city, unfortunately, because, you know, and we got to be in Bridgeport, too.
What's Bridgeport?
Yeah, another place you don't want to go. That's the best way to put it. Let me put it to you this way. And again, you don't always have to be there. And we'll get to the phones in a second, folks, so bear with us. Look, we have a campaign that we are. Well, I
haven't even announced my.
No, I wasn't talking about you.
Oh, okay.
My campaign, and this is something interesting that I know that people do not understand. So I am not endorsing anybody on the Republican side, but I am endorsing a Republican. Let's put it that way. I am not in the business of doing this whole thing about how do we promote the Republican. No, I am not here to do that. You see, having won campaigns, I understand that there is a really, really important thing that needs to be done, and that is influencing those who would usually vote for the incumbent that I wish to unseat. And the only way I do that is by reaching the people who would most likely vote for that incumbent. So my job this spring and this summer, as we come to this election season, is to talk to the people where it matters. See, it's to walk the neighborhoods of Hartford and New Haven and Bridgeport and to talk to people who vote and to say to them, do you want more of the same? Do you want more legislation that is not at the heart of what you believe in, what you want for the towns and neighborhoods you live in? Well, this is the reason why. Hey, and if you don't want to vote for a Republican, that's fine. But you know what? If you vote for more of the same, you will get far worse than the same. And I'm going to make that case, and I'm going to hit the ground running. I don't need a candidate to join me. I've got better, let's just say
bigger sites.
I've got bigger sites, and of course I will say that I have an access that a lot of them cannot and will not do. And I am going to do it with visual aid. And I am going to make rock stars out of these people because I'm going to make sure that you see them respond to what's happening in their state, and they will be engaged. Now, I'll lay it out like this. Imagine you've got 10 people that you need not to vote for the guy who's the Democrat. And imagine having a turnout that says 3 of those people out of the 10 voted for the Republican, and the other 7 did not vote for the Democrat. That is what I call winning. So that's what I'm going to be doing. Oh, yeah. I am actually telling you what I'm going to do. I'm giving you my playbook. And we're going to do it all across the state, and we're going to spend a lot of time doing it. And we are going to have visual aids that actually show people what we're talking about. My Kevin Meggett, who I talk about all the time, he says, I'm from Missouri, and that's the show me state. Well, there's going to be a lot of show me from Reese on the radio. And you are going to watch it because I'm going to show it all on social media. And I apologize, but the Democrat Party, and you know who you are, will never be able to combat this. You're going to have to pay people to show up, which I know you'll do anyway.
and have all the illegals come.
Yeah.
Which is why they don't want
we will
ICE
do
at the polls.
We will do all of that and so much more. And yeah, is it bold and arrogant to tell you what I'm doing? Oh yeah, I know. I'm well aware of it. I did it before, and I'll do it again.
Yeah, Virginia, right?
Yeah, that's right. Let's get to the phones. 860-522-WTIC. I'm going to take Sean in Meriden real quick. Hi, Sean.
Number one, I loved you guys about the songs. It was absolutely hilarious. I would kick in a couple here. Tears for Fears. Everybody Wants to Rule the World.
Absolutely solid record.
And Earth, Wind, and Fire. Remember
the 21st of September.
Yeah,
September 21st.
Great song.
Yeah, that's a solid record.
So just FYI. But then the quick on a little sour note for Attorney Tong. I called his office today.
Yep.
Because the only question I asked him is this. I said, why do you sue the federal government so much and spend our taxpayer dollars when you guys are wrong, when all you have to do is turn in the voter rolls unless you're having illegals on them?
Yeah, exactly.
Because there would be no reason to. And she goes, who are you? And what is your name? And where do you live? And what is your number? And I'm like, well, why don't you just ask I'm just asking you a question. You're part of his office. I assume that you know what's going on in his office. Please answer the question. She goes, hold on, let me transfer you. Transfer me to an answer machine.
Wow.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Before she would even answer, do you have her name?
I don't.
Okay.
That's okay. Well,
but it was a woman, and she said she was the head of his organization there at the office.
Listen, here's what I would implore anybody to do who calls a public official. Do two things. Well, one thing I would say, the most important thing, paramount, is to no, get on the phone and just say, hi, this is such and such calling from a recorded line. I'd like to ask a question to William Tong. Just say that and you should record exactly what their response is.
Right. So I wasn't done with my questioning. So you didn't get her name, but her first response when you asked, why are you wasting our money? Her first response was, what's your name? Where do you live? What's your phone number?
Exactly.
I'm sorry. This is screaming John Flynn to me.
Yeah.
That immediately said to me, because I'm 66 years old and a social worker from the inner city. So that said, okay, retaliation.
Yeah?
Yeah, that's exactly what that sounds like. Sean, in the future, make sure you do that. Always record those phone calls. I will
do that.
And just let them know.
But on the songs, you guys were kicking it. I loved it.
I appreciate you. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate you, man.
Have a good day. Bye.
You got it. Steve is in Andover. How are you, sir?
Hey, good afternoon.
Sir, you there?
Oh, yeah, I'm here.
Yeah. Okay, I'm sorry. You cut out real quick. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Good afternoon. So two things. One, I was going to call about the Bristol rep and some of her conversation, but
yeah,
when I got back in my truck, I heard you guys talking about yacht rock and Michael Jackson.
Yes.
So here's my serious question, and I know you've got ties into the music world, and so does Roland.
Mm-hmm.
So this is a question I've always wondered about, and I can't find an answer to it anywhere. In Michael Jackson's Thriller, he uses Vincent Price, okay?
Yes.
To do that whole word section, which was really, really cool.
It's technically called a rap. It's called Vincent's Rap.
Okay. So I would like to know, since we can't question either one of them since they're both dead.
Right.
But was Michael Jackson inspired to use Vincent Price by Meatloaf using the Yankees dude there in Paradise by the Dashboard Light?
That's such a great question. I've
always figured, where did he get the idea for that if he didn't steal it from Meatloaf? Using, what was that guy's name? Phil Rizzuto.
Yeah, Phil Rizzuto. Right. And it was, I can see,
Light.
yeah, exactly. Paradise by the Dashboard Light. But you know what's funny? I thought a lot of times, that Michael Jackson would borrow certain things as far as songwriting. You know what I always thought? I always thought Heartbreak Hotel was, because with the Jacksons had an album and he had a song called Heartbreak Hotel in the album. I was wondering if that was inspired by Elvis Presley. It turns out it wasn't at all. Because remember, Michael had this sort of weird, not association, but he was very much inspired by Elvis Presley in a lot of ways. It wasn't often talked about. So I thought it was supposed to be like an R&B version of the Heartbreak Hotel by Elvis. Turns out it's not. So it's interesting. I'm going to look into that whole Vincent Price Thriller and Dashboard Light connection and see if there is one.
Yeah, because they're so similar. If you listen to how those two songs play out,
mm-hmm.
and at what point those rap parts are inserted into the song, it's very weird, timing wise and everything else. It's just, I don't know.
I couldn't say exactly. I don't see exactly how they wouldn't be somewhat associated. I mean, I every artist is inspired by another one, so yeah, there could be a possibility. I'll check into that real quick. What were you going to say? You were calling about Cara Pavalock.
So one of the things that I would just I always recommend, because I'm a huge 2A guy.
Okay.
Unfortunately, I couldn't go testify today, but I did submit written testimony for those two in opposition to those two anti-American bills that they're trying to pass.
Yeah.
But in talking to somebody like that, one of the things that I always wonder about is ask them pointed 2A questions, because you will quickly figure out who's a rhino trying to dance around things.
Yeah.
And who is actually a true conservative who supports the Second Amendment. And you'll get those sort of fuds who come out and go, oh, well, I'm a gun owner and this, that, and the other thing, but, but I'm not going to, support magazine limits over 10 rounds and those black evil AR-15s, those don't belong anywhere. and you quickly realize this person's not a conservative.
Yeah.
They're a rhino.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So just one of those questions. And I didn't hear her talk anything about any of those bills today that had to do on the gun side.
She did. She talked about the fact that if you already own a particular Glock, if it can be used or have this device attached to it, then in essence you are already guilty of a crime. So she.
Well, that's what will end up.
Oh,
happening.
You were talking about Betsy.
No, you were quoting Betsy. That was what Betsy said to us off air.
Oh, right. Okay, I got you. Okay, but I will make sure that I'm cognizant of that in the future.
Yeah, you just give them like a nice pointed question about the 2A thing, and you'll quickly realize, who the true rhinos are and who the true conservatives are.
Indeed. Thank you, Steve. I appreciate you, buddy. You got it. We got to get up out of here. Somebody had just called me from a 917 number, and I have a strange feeling I know who it was. Forgive me for a quick second as I check to see if it was. No, I don't know who that was. That's weird. I don't know anybody who calls from New York. Somebody must have found my number. Do I have time for one more? You want me to take one more? Really? Okay, fine. Let's take Sam the Man in Waterbury. How are you, buddy?
Sam.
What's up, Sammy?
Hey, guys. How you doing?
Good.
We're good. What's up?
Not much.
This is a different Sam in Waterbury. I'm sorry, Sam. What's up?
Oh, no. Roseanne mentioned something about NIMBY before.
Yes.
I have another acronym for you.
Okay.
It's banana.
Okay.
Banana. Build absolutely nothing anywhere near anybody.
I concur. That would have worked in Texas.
That's the safest way to go.
Yeah, that would have worked in Texas, but I just can't do 300-degree weather 9 days out of the year.
Yeah.
Or 9 months out of the year, yeah.
Thank you, Sam. I appreciate that. We got to get up out of here.
Have a wonderful day, guys.
Thank you, man. You too.
Thank you.
That's actually a pretty good one.
Writing it down.
I can't get to the rest of these. I got like a minute left before we get out of here.
Hurry up, spit them out.
Nope. All right, 30 seconds even. Roseanne, thank you today for coming out with me and coming to spend some time on the show. We got a meeting to attend tonight. It's our second meeting. So if you know somebody who is interested in coming down and, has a desire, come see us at Bridge Community. We'll be there tonight. And with that, as I always say, radio is free. So we thank you for paying attention. Remember to keep JC in your hearts and in your minds. Sean Patrick, we love you and we miss you. Remember that panic is not planning, so plan your work and work your plan. Me, I'm Reese on the radio. She is Roseanne on the radio. Say goodnight, Roseanne.
Good night, Roseanne.
Have a good night. A pleasant tomorrow. We'll see you back here tomorrow at 2 p.m. Mark Christopher, he is getting you home. It's still light outside.
Beautiful.
That's right. Mark Christopher's in the BPS Lawyers Traffic Center. Good night, sir.